My current professional skills can be divided into Soul, Summoning, Curse, and Sea Bone series, completely different from the elemental nature of mages. Although necromancers are also titled as mages, they are fundamentally different from mages. None of the 4 skill series are weak. I believe Sea Bone spikes won't be bad either, and their quantity changes with level. This indicates that Sea Bone spikes is an AoE skill, so I told Bai Yuan about this skill. Bai Yuan gestured for me to test its power. As I slowly raised my hand, a deep sound instantly echoed. Rows of Sea Bone spikes flew out from around me, creating a strong whistling sound as they shot into the sky, then exploded one by one in the air, releasing a bright white light. Meng Anwen, standing nearby, nodded in satisfaction. The damage is decent. Each spike's power is comparable to a level 30 mage's fireball. Bai Yuan's eyes widened. Such power, and this is just a level 1 skill. If it reaches max level, the damage would be unimaginable. Meng Anwen, however, shook his head. It's not that the skill is powerful, but Lin's talent is extraordinary, greatly amplifying the skill's power. Bai Yuan became even more smug. Still, if the skill is trained to level 30, its power will increase by many times. I'm also looking forward to seeing how terrifying the Sea Bone spike skill will become as my level increases. However, none of the subsequent skill scrolls awakened any new skills. At this point, Elder Meng spoke up. Let me check how many beginner skills you have left to awaken. He thought that with his abilities, he could easily detect my remaining skills, but when he cast a detection-like skill on me, for a full 2 minutes, he couldn't detect anything. He shook his head in confusion. Strange. My detection skill failed on you, but he clearly stated that I still had skills to awaken. So, he asked me to use a glowing beginner skill scroll. I nodded, then took out a glowing skill scroll and channeled my mental energy into it. Moments later, the golden light on the scroll, suddenly, with a loud bang, it exploded. The next second, the entire White God courtyard was bathed in golden light. Within the golden light, I saw a peculiar scene. A skeleton army marching in an orderly formation. Skeleton warriors in front, forming a grand formation, with skeleton elemental power swirling in their hands. Their aura shook the heavens. Behind the skeleton army was an undead general, commanding the skeleton army. Skill acquired. Summon Lich General. Summon a Lich General to command skeleton warriors and skeleton mages, forming an undead legion. The size of the undead legion depends on the skill level of the Lich General. The undead legion is under the Lich General's command and does not occupy summoning space. If the Lich General dies, the undead legion under its command will return to the summoner. I checked it several times. After understanding the skill specifics, I started trembling uncontrollably. Bai Yuan noticed my unusual reaction and immediately asked, "What's wrong?" I told him that I seemed to have awakened a very powerful skill. After I explained the skill to everyone, Bai Yuan jumped up in excitement, while Ling Tyron's mouth twitched repeatedly. This skill is too overpowered. Meng Anwen couldn't help but exclaim, "An army of one! This class is terrifyingly strong. After all, I can now summon 10 Lich Generals. That's 10 undead legions. As my level increases, the number of Lich Generals I can summon will also increase. A level 30 Lich General can command 300 skeletons, 10 undead legions. That's 3,000 skeletons. This number is 10 times larger than before. This is a slap in the face." The hidden traits of my Necromancer class made their debut with a slap. The 3 pillars of the Divine Empire were right here all along. After I told Bai Shun and the others about the Awaken skill, Bai Yuan couldn't wait for me to summon it. To see, the moment I summoned the Lich General, the sky above Shejin Academy instantly darkened. Jing Tyran frowned at the sight. This skill can affect the heavens? It's almost like a forbidden curse. Bai Yuan and Meng Anwen were also startled by the skill's impact. In their vision, a Lich General holding a bone staff appeared by my side, looking incredibly. But when I saw his stats, I was stunned. His first 3 stats, even with talent, were a pitiful 40 points, even weaker than the weakest common monster. But his constitution was ridiculously high, reaching a staggering 2,000 points. Additionally, he had 3 skills. Skill: Legion Enhancement Control. Resistance increased by 10%. Skill: Legion Healing. Healing effect depends on skill level. Skill: Purge removes all abnormal statuses from Legion members, but only effective against statuses below level 10. This shows that the Lich General has no offensive power. He doesn't exist for combat. When Bai Yuan and the others saw his stats, they were speechless. The Lich General's stats are too bizarre. His attack stats probably couldn't even kill a rabbit. His constitution is decent, but what's the use? As a meat shield, they could only see the stats before amplification, and couldn't see the skills. Meng Anwen looked at me and asked calmly, "A level 30 skill can't be this useless. Is there something special about it?" Even though I'm usually calm, I couldn't help but get excited. It's finally here. The long-awaited crowd control skill is finally here. Before, the biggest flaw of the skeletons was their lack of anti-control abilities. Once controlled, they became sitting ducks. Now, the Lich General's Purge skill can remove all abnormal statuses from Legion members, and it even has a healing skill for the skeletons. The Lich General combines enhancement, healing, and crowd control into one. Meng Anwen noticed my expression. It seems this skill is extraordinary. Bai Yuan also noticed. Given my personality, if it were an ordinary skill, it wouldn't have excited me this much. Then, I explained all the Lich General skills and traits to them. The three of them were slightly surprised. It's actually a support-type summon. We've seen support-type summons before, but one that can form a legion for combat is truly a first. Bai Shen couldn't help but laugh. With these new skills, I doubt there's anyone in the Divine Empire who can rival you among your peers. I also knew very well, even without the full amplification talent, as long as I max out the Summon Lich General skill and form a complete undead legion, an army of over 3,000 skeletons, combined with my curses and other skills, would be enough to crush all peers. And with the 40x amplification talent, challenging higher levels would be as easy as eating and drinking. Ning Tyran glared at Bai Yuan and said, "You're lucky to have picked up such a treasure of a disciple." Bai Yuan ignored him and asked me to try Awakening, another new skill. I nodded and prepared to try again, hoping for another breakthrough. I took out the last, glowing beginner skill scroll, but after using it, no new skill was awakened. This meant that all skills below level 40 had been acquired. Next was to level up these new skills to max, so I told Bai Shen that I planned to go to the Tyrant Desert Dungeon. If I could find desert fruits in the dungeon, then the speed of skill leveling would increase significantly. This idea of mine matched what Bai Yuan had in mind, but Meng Anwen pointed out that leveling the Summon Lich General skill would be tough. Even if I found desert fruits, it might not be enough to max it out. He was right, because summoning a Lich General once consumed 4,000 mental energy. Even with a full set of Hell Outpost gear, my mental energy barely exceeded 7,000. I couldn't even summon 2 Lich Generals at once, and as the skill level increased, the requirements would only get higher. But even if it's hard to level, I'll do it. If 1 desert fruit isn't enough, then 2 or 3. Meng Anwen continued. What about after level 30? You won't be able to enter the Tyrant Desert Dungeon after level 30, and you won't find desert fruits there. Hearing this, I smiled slightly and told them that my class had a hidden trait. As long as I leveled a skill to match my current level, every time I leveled up, the skills level would also increase. The three of them were stunned. Even the usually calm Meng Anwen was visibly shaken. This hidden trait is too overpowered. Others struggle to level up their skills even once, and the higher the skill level, the harder it gets. Especially for someone at our level. Leveling a skill is incredibly difficult, but you don't even have to worry about skill levels. It's infuriating. Bai Yuan thought about his past and the grueling days of skill training. His pride took a serious hit. Ning Tyran also looked at me with displeasure. I'll give you 10 seconds to disappear from our sight. So I immediately left and headed to the dungeon hall, then plunged into the Hell difficulty Tyrant Desert Dungeon. But when I saw that the cacti didn't have desert fruits, I chose to exit the dungeon, then reset the dungeon and entered again. I repeated this 4 times in a row, but still couldn't find desert fruits. Smart onlookers quickly realized what I was doing. Boss Lin is looking for desert fruits. Using desert fruits to train skills is great, but resetting the dungeon like this must cost a lot of points. Resetting costs 10,000 points each time. Only someone like Boss Lin could afford such extravagance. Little did they know, Ning Tyran had given me dungeon privileges. So, the dungeon cost was only 1/10 of the original amount. On the 13th attempt, I finally encountered desert fruits again. First, I had the skeleton warriors clear the surrounding monsters. Then I began training my skills. The first skill I trained was Sea Bone Spikes. Its energy consumption was already low, and with the tidal effect bonus, the cost was halved. Each cast only required 5 mental energy. With my 7,000 mental energy, I could cast it over 1,000 times. As I continuously cast Sea Bone Spikes, my mental energy drained quickly, but every so often, I ate a desert fruit to replenish my energy. In less than 10 minutes, Sea Bone Spikes reached level 30. The number of spikes increased from 40 to 1,200, and their power was far more terrifying than at level 1. Next, I began training the damage curse skill, but the dungeon's fruits didn't last long enough for me to level it to 30, so I started resetting the dungeon repeatedly. This time, luck was on my side. On the 6th attempt, I encountered desert fruits again. After another dozen minutes, I leveled the damage curse to 30. It curses enemies within a 25-meter range, increasing all damage they take by 25%. Duration: 1 minute. With talent bonuses, the curse range extended to 1 kilometer, and damage increased by 1,000%. Next came the hardest skill. Summoning one Lich General required 4,000 mental energy, and with my gear, I only had 7,000 mental energy. I had to eat a desert fruit almost every time I summoned one. It took me half a month and over 200 dungeon runs to finally level the Summon Lich General skill to level 30. My efforts during this time were all witnessed by Yuan and the others. This kid's determination is impressive. Ning Tyran snorted coldly, feeling deeply envious. He's lucky to have such a treasure of a disciple. Meng Anwen added, Lin's sister is also very hard-working and talented. Perhaps both siblings have the potential to become god-tier professionals. Bai Yuan smiled meaningfully and said, Is god-tier enough? Buff applied. My skeleton army has received a historic level buff. The previously ragged white bone tier, skeleton warriors and mages, had now advanced to the more powerful gold tier. Their stats had significantly improved. Their strength had skyrocketed. After half a month of grinding and leveling the Summon Lich General skill to level 30, I collapsed in the desert and fell asleep. As time passed, people outside the dungeon began to wonder, strange, why hasn't Boss Lin come out yet? Did something happen? A man nearby laughed. Boss Lin in trouble? Don't joke around. He's probably just tired and fell asleep in the dungeon. After all, Boss Lin has been training non-stop for half a month and has run the dungeon over 200 times. Anyone else would have collapsed long ago. Everything happening in the dungeon was also observed by Bai Shan and the others. Ning Tyran looked at Bai Yuan and said solemnly, This kid is far stronger than you were back then. Bai Yuan snorted, He's stronger than you too. Meanwhile, Meng Anwen's eyes were filled with admiration, because my performance was truly outstanding, calm when needed, low-key when necessary, and when it was time to shine, I could shock the world without saying a word. He could see that I wasn't just determined. I was ruthless with myself. Combined with my class, I had all the conditions to become a god-tier powerhouse. I slept for 2 full days. When I woke up, I immediately summoned the Lich General to check its stats. Since I had reached level 30, all my summons had automatically advanced to gold tier, including the Lich General. The upgraded Lich General had become even more extreme. The number of skeletons it could command increased from 10 to 300, and its 3 skills had also reached level 3. Strength, agility, and mental stats were all 4,000, but its constitution had reached a staggering 100,000. This gave it incredible vitality and defense, and its healing skill could now target itself, making it extremely difficult to kill. Additionally, my skeleton warriors and mages had also advanced to gold tier. Now, the skeleton warriors had stats reaching 40,000. Their lethality and survivability had improved dramatically. The skeleton mage's mental energy reached a terrifying 80,000. This greatly enhanced the power of their skills. So, I quickly decided on the composition of the Undead Legion, 200 skeleton warriors and 100 skeleton mages. With such a setup and the Lich General's support, it was impossible to accurately estimate how powerful they could become. Then, while summoning skeletons and eating desert fruits, I unknowingly built an Undead Legion. At the same time, the number of skeletons under one Lich General increased to 300, but my summoning space was instantly filled. To create a second Undead Legion, I needed more desert fruits. so I started resetting the dungeon again, searching for desert fruits. Is he trying to fill the remaining 9 undead legions? Seeing this, the crowd outside the dungeon gasped. I'm curious, what skill is Boss Lin training? Why does he need so many desert fruits? Ningtyran, seeing this, was also deeply impressed. This kid is truly ruthless. He just woke up and is already training again. After several days of relentless effort, I finally filled the remaining 9 undead legions, and even filled my summoning space. Now, I had a total of 3,300 skeletons, including 2,200 skeleton warriors and 1,100 skeleton mages. Although I wanted to test the undead legion's power in a dungeon, I decided against it. I had already wasted too much time, and Bai Shun and the others were waiting for me, so I exited the dungeon and headed to Bai Shun's courtyard. As soon as I arrived, Bai Yuan patted my shoulder with satisfaction. Good job, kid. You've made me proud. Even I admire your determination. Then his expression turned serious. Now, listen carefully to what I'm about to say. I mentioned before that once you reached level 30, I'd take you to a special place. That place is called the Ancient Battlefield. It's extremely dangerous, but also full of opportunities. No one knows the exact origins of the Ancient Battlefield. Legend has it that in an ancient, forgotten era, a great war broke out between humans, the Abyss Demons, and the Dragon Clan. The Ancient Battlefield was formed during that time. The war shattered space and disrupted time itself. In the Ancient Battlefield, relics and souls of an entire era are buried. Their wills never faded, and over time, they formed various monsters, dangerous zones, secret realms, and even dungeons. While it's dangerous, it's also full of opportunities. If you're lucky, you can obtain relics and other treasures from the ancient era. But besides human professionals, you'll also encounter Abyss Demons and Dragon Clan warriors. So the danger doesn't just come from the environment, but also from other races. Then he handed me a map. The map showed 2 floating continents, with a massive black hole in between. It looked similar to the vortex at dungeon entrances. This is the map of the Ancient Battlefield. It's divided into 3 layers: upper, lower, and deep. This time, I'll take you to the upper layer. Those above level 70 can't enter the upper layer. They usually stay in the lower layer. Similarly, those below level 70 can't enter the lower layer. But there's a small chance for spatial rifts to form between the layers, disrupting the rules. Occasionally, someone from the lower layer might enter the upper layer, but they can't stay for more than an hour. So when that happens, be cautious, even of fellow human professionals. Also, the Ancient Battlefield is unpredictable. Sometimes, dungeons suddenly appear and suck you in. These dungeons have no level restrictions. A level 40 professional might get pulled into a level 60 dungeon. He paused, then added, so always be prepared for the unexpected, and it's hell difficulty at that. Encountering something like that often ends in disaster, but if you're lucky enough to survive such a dungeon, you'll have a chance to gain immense opportunities. Not only ancient relics but also things you couldn't even imagine. For example, many human professionals have gained skills, and some have even awakened talents there. In short, in the Ancient Battlefield, anything is possible. I nodded, indicating that I understood. Then Bai Yuan continued, the reason I want you to go to the Ancient Battlefield is because in the central area of the upper layer, there's a divine selection secret realm. By passing through it, you can obtain a trace of divinity. Divinity has many uses, one of which is increasing the probability of your class evolving during job advancement. With your soul crystal and my preparations, the probability of your class evolving is only around 60 to 70%. That's not bad, but it's still not a guarantee. If you can obtain divinity, it will grow stronger as you level up, increasing the probability to at least 99%. Additionally, in the upper layer, there's a dungeon called the Demon Dragon Hall. This dungeon appears randomly. Whether you encounter it depends on your luck. If you find it, choose Hell difficulty. By clearing it, you'll obtain a Dragon Essence. Dragon Essence has a chance to awaken a talent. You don't need to wait until your second. You can try using the Dragon Essence. If it doesn't work, you can still use other methods like the Mermaid's Tear to awaken a talent during your second job advancement. But I must warn you, the Demon Dragon Hall's level is random. Sometimes it's level 35, other times it's level 60, but it never exceeds level 65. When I entered it, the dungeon was and I was only level 45 at the time. It was tough, but I managed to clear it in the end. As he spoke, a hint of pride appeared on his face. After all, clearing a level 40 hell difficulty dungeon. At level 45 was no small feat. Ning Tairan, however, snorted coldly. You really have the nerve to brag. When compared to Boss Lin's dungeon records, your achievements are nothing. Bai Yuan glared at him. You old man, are you deliberately trying to provoke me? After saying that, he turned to me and asked, do you want to go to the ancient battlefield? Of course, I chose to go. Such a place would be a waste to miss, especially the divinity. I had to obtain it. I only summoned 10 skeleton warriors, and they swept through the ancient battlefield, where countless geniuses had fallen. After Bai Shun explained the situation in the ancient battlefield, I decided without hesitation to go there, vowing to pass the divine selection, secret realm and obtain a trace of divinity, and to clear the hell difficulty demon dragon dungeon to obtain dragon essence. Then, Meng Anwen used the divine tower to teleport me there. After I left, Bai Yuan said solemnly, take me to Fortress No. 1. Meng Anwen understood Bai Yuan's intention. Fortress No. 1's Hall of Heroes has my imprint, which consents some of my conditions. After arriving at the ancient battlefield, I immediately cast sea bone armor on myself because I couldn't afford to be careless here. With 3000 constitution as the base stat, and amplified by my 40x talent, it was equivalent to a 120,000 point constitution defense shield, and immunity to all abnormal statuses. With the sea bone armor's enhancement, I had sufficient protection. Additionally, I had 2 skeleton warriors by my side, ready to handle any emergencies. After preparing, I began moving in a specific direction. Although Bai Yuan had told me about the upper layer, he hadn't been there in many years, and he wasn't sure what changes had occurred. In the upper layer's space, he wasn't clear. So, ultimately, I had to rely on my own exploration. Moments later, a pitch-black monster came into view. Its body was shrouded in black smoke. Its face was part human, part demon, with some beast-like features. Just as the skeleton warriors were about to attack, it suddenly vanished on the spot. Just as I thought it had escaped, the ground beneath me silently cracked open. A burst of flames erupted from the ground, followed by a dagger with a sharp, cold light stabbing towards me. But both the flames and the dagger were blocked by my sea bone armor. At that moment, the 2 skeleton warriors by my side moved. Their blades slashed out like lightning, so fast that afterimages were left behind. After advancing to gold tier, their reaction speed had become incredibly fast. From the moment I was attacked to their counterattack, it took less than 0.5 seconds. The next second, 2 greatswords landed on the mysterious monster. The monster let out a scream. Then its entire body exploded into black smoke. Seeing this, I thought the skeleton warriors had instantly killed it, but after a while, I didn't receive any kill notification or gain any experience. Just as I was feeling puzzled, another burst of flames erupted from the ground, followed by the same dagger, stabbing out from the flames. The dagger struck the sea bone armor, creating a deafening sound. Its attack was blocked again, and the next second, it was met with the skeleton warrior's skill, Furious Strike, dealing 400% of their strength attribute as damage. With the skeleton warriors' 40,000 strength, the damage reached a terrifying 160,000. The moment the skill landed, space itself seemed to distort, but the monster turned into black smoke again and disappeared. Even the flames on the ground vanished without a trace. The whole process was incredibly fast, so fast that I didn't even have time to use a detection skill before it ended. But I was certain this was an assassin-type monster. Its defenses were weak, but its attack power was immense. If it were an ordinary level 30 professional, even a tanky shield warrior would have been severely injured by that sneak attack. If it were a mage or support, they would have been instantly killed. But now, I had completely figured out its attack pattern. It had to emerge from the ground to launch its attack. Sure enough, a few seconds later, a red light appeared on the ground to my left. I immediately cast a detection skill and mentally commanded the 2 skeleton warriors to unleash a furious strike on that spot. As the monster emerged from the ground, it let out a scream and completely dissipated. At the same time, its stat panel appeared. After seeing its stats, I finally understood why it could survive 2 attacks from the skeleton warriors. It had a trait that granted 70% immunity to physical damage for 7 seconds. Then the system notified me of the kill. Killed level 38 Flame Assassin. Experience gained 760,000 inch. Although its experience was comparable to an abyss demon, its danger level was slightly higher. Perhaps this was the danger of the ancient battlefield. Ordinary monsters of the same level were stronger than demons from the abyss. After walking for a while longer, I didn't encounter any more monsters. As Bai Shun said, the closer to the center, the more monsters, and the farther from the center, the fewer monsters. This meant I was at the edge of the ancient battlefield, so I changed direction and headed the other way. Finally, after a while, a second monster appeared in my sight. It was over 3 meters tall, and its body was made of black rock. Then its stat panel appeared. Its level was 45. Its 4 main stats combined reached a staggering 75,000, and its traits were ridiculously strong, especially the 70% reduction in elemental damage. I realized that physical attacks from the skeleton warriors would work better, so I commanded the 2 skeleton warriors to attack it, but after a few strikes, it still wasn't dead. So I summoned 8 more skeleton warriors. The 10 skeleton warriors surrounded it and hacked away. The black rock monster let out a muffled roar. Then its entire body exploded into rubble. The system notified me. Killed level 45 black rock monster. Experience gained 1,350,000 inch. Although the monsters here generally gave more experience, they all had physical and elemental damage reduction traits, making them much tougher than monsters elsewhere. Next, I could test the effect of the damage curse. I wondered how many hits they could take. Under 10x damage. Suddenly, a cold laugh echoed in the air. Delicious human. I quickly looked up and saw an 8-armed abyss blade demon floating in the air. Although I had killed abyss blade demons before, and not just one, I had never faced them head-on. I had always blown them up in the abyss passage. Its face was twisted, its 8 arms like 8 giant blades. Its stats were similar to the black rock monster, but it didn't have the physical and elemental damage reduction, making it slightly weaker than the black rock monster. Seeing this, a smirk appeared on my face, because in my eyes, aside from its ability to fly, it was useless. But when the abyss blade demon saw my level, it also smirked. A level 30 brat dares to come to the ancient battlefield? I didn't expect my luck to be this good. I can feast right after coming out. Hearing this, I remained silent. If this guy knew I had just killed a black rock monster, I wonder what expression he'd have. Seeing that I wasn't speaking or running, he thought I was paralyzed with fear and excitedly charged at me. Suddenly, he noticed the slight upward curve of my lips. In my eyes, only mockery. His instincts told him something was wrong, but it was too late. With a hum, he felt something strange on his body, as if something had been added to him. He looked up and saw a red sword-shaped mark above his head. Just as he was wondering what it was, a violent explosion engulfed him. His consciousness instantly vanished. His massive body crashed heavily in front of me. It turned out that as he approached me, I had cast the damage curse on him and detonated the black rock monster's corpse. The damage curse increased the damage he took by 10x, combined with the level 4 corpse explosion, which dealt 750% of the corpse's HP as damage. He had no chance to resist and was instantly killed. The system notified me. Killed level 45 abyss blade demon. Experience gained 1,720,000. Military merit increased by 1,000 inch. The next second, my military badge absorbed the merit and emitted a pure white light. Seeing this, I smiled. The abyss demons here not only gave more experience than the ancient battlefield monsters, but also provided a lot of military merit. It seemed I had to head to the center of the ancient battlefield. Unexpectedly, the war god who had crushed countless prodigies in the tournament was mocked by the other races in the ancient battlefield as trash. But when I summoned the Lich general for the first time, all the other races knelt in fear and begged for mercy. After killing the level 45 abyss blade demon, I realized that the experience and military merit were much higher than other monsters. So I began heading to the central area to find more abyss demons. Suddenly, a tearing sound came from the sky above. The space tore apart like fabric. Soon, a spatial passage formed. Seeing this, I immediately became alert. Then, a creature flew out of the spatial passage. The moment I saw it, I knew it was from the Dragon Clan. Its appearance was very similar to the Dragon Clan monsters I had seen in the Outpost dungeon, only its size was much larger. Its back was covered with fleshy spikes, and it held a spear in its right hand and a shield in its left. Then, 5 more Dragon Clan monsters flew out of the spatial passage. Like human professionals, they had unique classes. They were clearly a professional team from the Dragon Clan. I had heard from by Hospital that the Dragon Clan also had professional teams. Moreover, their professionals were no weaker than humans. At that moment, the Dragon Clan team noticed that I was human, and I carried the scent of their companions. He must have killed our comrades. Kill him. One of the Dragon Clan members shouted. Their support instantly applied buffs to the team. He was a professional similar to a battle priest. So, the buffs were applied in an instant. Then, the Dragon Clan knight at the forefront charged at me. Seeing this, I cast a detection spell on him. In the next second, his information panel appeared. He was a level 48 Dragon Clan knight. Not only did his total attribute points reach 80,000, but he also had over 20 skills. Like human knights, he had numerous defensive skills, and with the buffs applied, his attributes would only become stronger. From what I knew, a human rare class paladin, at level 50, would only have around 80,000 total attribute points. Yet, a level 48 Dragon Clan knight was on par with that. This showed that humans were at a disadvantage in this aspect. Thinking this, I didn't dare to hesitate. A red light flashed in my palm, and I simultaneously cast Speed Curse and Damage Curse. Red shackles appeared above the Dragon Clan warriors' heads, which were then replaced by a blood-red sword. It turned out that curses couldn't stack. Only the most recently cast curse would take effect. This was different from what I had imagined, greatly reducing my overall combat power. I could only hope that this limitation would change in the future. But just then, a golden light erupted from the Dragon Clan members. In an instant, the curses on them dimmed significantly. They sneered, "Useless. We dragons naturally resist curses. Curses only have 1/10 of their effect on us." Hearing this, I smirked. Even if it's only 1 out of 10, that still increases damage by 100%. Then, I slowly raised my hand and cast the skill Sea Bone Spikes. A total of 1,200 Sea Bone Spikes shot through the air with a whistling sound, but the Dragon Clan knight remained unfazed. He thought that a mere level 30 human skill wouldn't harm him even if he stood still. After all, dragons were naturally tough, with scales that served as natural armor. Combined with their equipment's defense, such a weak attack was nothing to him. Not just him, but his teammates also thought the same. But the next second, the previously disdainful Dragon Clan team let out screams of pain. Countless Sea Bone Spikes pierced through their bodies, leaving behind bloody holes. Only then did they realize the cost of underestimating their enemy. They all knelt and begged for mercy, but it was already too late. As the mage with the lowest health among them fell to the ground, I immediately cast the explosion skill on his corpse. After a loud explosion, the entire Dragon Clan team was wiped out. To my surprise, killing Dragon Clan professionals also granted experience and military merits, and it was a significant amount, 6,000 military merits. Now, my total military merits reached 44,000. My military rank was promoted from 3-star Sentinel to 4-star Sentinel. Meanwhile, in the Dragon Clan's world, a Dragonkin let out a furious roar. Who killed my team? His 威严厚重的声音惊天动地, causing even the massive castle to tremble. It turned out he had spent enormous resources to open a passage to the ancient battlefield, but the team he had just sent to the upper layer of the ancient battlefield was wiped out in less than 2 minutes. All his efforts had gone to waste. He could only roar in anger. Afterward, I collected all the equipment from the Dragon Clan team. Then, I continued toward the central area. Suddenly, the ground began to shake. In the distance, I saw more than a dozen dark figures running toward me. Upon closer inspection, I realized they were abyss demons. What puzzled me was, they could fly, yet they were running on the ground. Then, I saw something even more shocking. Running alongside the abyss demons was a group of Dragon Clan professionals. You must know, abyss demons and Dragon Clan professionals are mortal enemies. How could they be running side by side? Thinking this, I looked carefully into the distance. I noticed a massive swarm of dark creatures chasing them. Both the abyss demons and the Dragon Clan professionals had panic in their eyes. Clearly, whatever was chasing them was terrifying. Curious, I wondered what kind of creatures were pursuing them. So, I cast a detection spell on the unknown creatures. In the next second, their Su Xing Mianban Fu Xian Chulai. They were a group of level 40 soul devourers. Although their attributes didn't seem strong, their 特性却很是恐怖. They had the ability to ignore defense and physical immunity. Moreover, There were thousands, if not tens of thousands of them. No wonder the Abyss demons and Dragon Clan professionals chose to flee. Just as they were about to escape, I felt an overwhelming killing intent. I had no intention of letting them leave alive. I raised my hand and cast Soul Flame. Screams of pain echoed as the soul-burning agony caused them all to collapse to the ground. Then, the soul devourers swarmed toward them from all directions. They struggled to get up and tried to continue fleeing, but then they saw the blazing flames in my palm. Only then did they realize I had ambushed them. Damn human. Their eyes were filled with hatred, wishing they could kill me on the spot. But the next second, they saw two crows appear beside me. Generals. Hundreds of skeletons emerged from the ground. Two entire undead legions appeared simultaneously. Seeing this, the Abyss demons and Dragon Clan knights realized the dire situation. In the next moment, 200 skeleton mages raised their staffs and unleashed elemental attacks. At the same time, I cast Damage Curse. Instantly, all creatures within a 1,000-meter radius, including the soul devourers, were cursed. Without exception, a dark red sword appeared above their heads. The moment the curse took effect, the skeleton mages' spells rained down. The soul devourers' teacher Drio Chu 5 Sha, making them unable to withstand the skeleton mages' attacks. In just one round of attacks, hundreds of soul devourers were killed, although each only gave 200,000 experience points, which was about 4 times lower than monsters of the same level. In the ancient battlefield, their sheer numbers made up for it. After one wave, my experience bar had risen significantly. The battlefield was littered with the corpses of soul devourers. Without hesitation, I cast the skill, Corpse Explosion. After hundreds of consecutive explosions, the Dragon Clan professionals and Abyss demons were blown to smithereens. The remaining soul... Then, my military badge glowed with a golden light, and another star appeared on it. Now, my military rank had been promoted to 5-star Sentinel, but just then, a sharp, ear-piercing sound came from the sky. A massive soul devourer flew toward me like lightning. Seeing this, I was shocked. What a huge bug. I realized that I had provoked the leader of the soul devourers. Now, it had come out. Instinctively, I cast a detection spell, but when I saw the stats, my expression changed drastically. What a powerful boss. On my very first day in the ancient battlefield, I encountered an unprecedented crisis. I had to use my full strength just to survive. As I was heading toward the central area of the ancient battlefield, I stumbled upon a hunting game. Not only did I deal with the pursued Dragon Clan, professionals and demons, but I also wiped out the tens of thousands of soul devourers chasing them. However, this provoked the dreaded soul devourer king. Seeing this, I immediately cast a detection spell on it. In the next second, it's Su Xingmian, Lord level boss, soul devourer king, level 55, total 4-dimensional attributes 300,000. It also possessed the ability to ignore defense, although its level was only 55, which was considered mid-tier in the upper layers. Its Lord-level boss attributes made even the top-tier level 70 Pu Tongguan hesitant to provoke it. Seeing its stats, I didn't hesitate to prepare. This boss was a full 25 levels above me, and it was a Lord-level boss, just one tier below a World-level boss. In the past, I had only challenged bosses that were 15 levels above me at most, and their attributes were only half of this one's. It seemed I had to get serious this time. At this moment, the Soul Devourer King's massive eyes locked onto me, but there was no trace of killing intent in its gaze, only endless coldness. It let out a series of sharp screeches, as if calling for something. Soon, a large group of Soul Devourers gathered around it from all directions. They informed it of what had just happened. The next second, the Soul Devourer King let out an earth-shaking screech. In an instant, the surrounding objects were blown away by the sound waves. This was its skill, Terrifying Screech. Seeing this, I immediately activated Sea Bone Armor, successfully blocking the impact of the sound waves. However, the skeletons around me were all injured. Fortunately, the Lich General simultaneously cast the skill Legion Heal, and the injured skeletons were instantly restored. But then, the Soul Devourer King suddenly opened its massive mouth, and all the surrounding Soul Devourers flew into it. The Soul Devourer King's size rapidly increased. Seeing this, I couldn't help but feel tense. After devouring so many Soul Devourers, its attributes must have increased significantly. Even if I could deal with it, it would come at a great cost. It might also slow down my progress in the ancient battlefield. But after glancing at the battlefield, I felt a bit relieved. The ground was littered with the corpses of soul devourers, as well as a few abyss demons, and Dragon Clan professionals. Using the corpse explosion skill and damage curse skill, I could deal with it, while significantly reducing the casualties among my skeletons. But suddenly, the corpses of the soul devourers turned into soul fragments, and merged into the soul devourer king's body. The next moment, the soul devourer king let out another deafening screech, even more terrifying than the last. People in the distance heard the screech, and their faces turned pale. Oh no, it's the soul devourer king. Everyone run. Every time the soul devourer king appears, it brings a storm of bloodshed. Even the monsters and demons fled in terror. The soul devourer king was the natural enemy of all living beings here. Some people, however, were curious. If the soul devourer king is so powerful, killing it should drop some amazing loot, right? So why doesn't anyone hunt it? A man nearby explained. Once, the Dragon Clan organized a team of over 100 professionals. Not only did they fail to kill it, but they also lost nearly half their team. After that, his fearsome reputation spread throughout the upper realms. No one dared to provoke him again. This time, I don't know what happened, but it actually managed to draw him out. After saying this, he quickly urged everyone to run. If we were late, it would be too late. At this moment, my gaze turned serious, and in the air, a new soul devourer king appeared. After just 1 minute, it finally completed its evolution. After evolving, its body was covered in sharp barbs and a thick layer of angular scales. At a glance, it made people want to stay far away from it. But even so, I wasn't the slightest bit afraid. Because I've been fighting against overwhelming odds all along, I had long since cast fear aside. It's just that this time, there were more civilians around. I casually raised my hand and summoned a new set of sea bone armor. Seeing that I wasn't afraid at all, and was even preparing to fight back, the soul devourer king let out a screech and charged at me. In an instant, it was right in front of me. Its sharp claws slapped, but all the attacks were blocked by the sea bone armor. After reaching level 30, the sea bone armor provided defense equivalent to it was impossible for it to break through in a short time. At the same time, I immediately cast a damage curse on it. Then I cast the corpse explosion skill. The bodies of the abyssal demons and Dragon Clan warriors were all detonated. The soul devourer king, caught in the explosion, let out a scream and was clearly injured. Suddenly, its huge eyes glowed with a purple light. I just glanced at it and immediately felt an invisible force pulling at me, as if trying to tear my soul out. Fortunately, the sea bone armor's properties severed this force in time. I realized this was another one of its skills, Soul Devour, which was somewhat similar to my Soul Flame skill. Both were skills that ignored defense, but unfortunately, my skeletons had no souls to begin with, let alone anything to devour. Therefore, its Soul Devour skill was completely useless. Then, with a thought, I summoned the remaining 8 Lich generals. Now, the entire undead legion was mobilized. The mighty army of skeletons instantly surrounded the Soul Devourer king. The skeleton mages attacked first, unleashing a barrage of elemental attacks at the Soul Devourer king. At the same time, I cast a slow curse to reduce its speed. In an instant, it was overwhelmed by the elemental attacks. In the blink of an eye, the Soul Devourer king was severely injured and on the verge of death. Suddenly, it spread its wings, and, despite the slow curse, forcefully flew into the air. Then, its body began to glow with a purple light, and the light formed an invincible protective shield that blocked the skeleton mage's skills. Its lost health was also rapidly recovering. At the same time, its form began to change. Moments later, it transformed into a humanoid form. Then, a powerful aura burst forth from its body. Seeing this, I frowned. Could this be its second form? Thinking this, I immediately cast a detection spell. Sure enough, this was its second form. Its skills remained the same, but it had sacrificed most of its mental power to greatly enhance its strength. However, its overall attributes were still capped at 300,000, with no change. Seeing this, I smiled slightly. If this was all it had, then it might as well accept its fate of death. Then, the skeleton mages continued to unleash elemental skills, and the skeleton warriors began climbing onto its body to attack. But just as its health dropped to half, it grabbed one of the skeleton warriors and threw it into its mouth, chewing it up. In the next second, its injuries rapidly healed. Seeing this, I was shocked. This ability was way too overpowered. If it were anyone else, they would never be able to kill it. But I felt no pressure at all. I immediately cast a damage curse, replacing the slow curse, because now I needed to end the battle quickly. The most important thing was to make sure its recovery speed couldn't keep up with the damage. Under the 10x amplification of the damage curse, the damage dealt by the skeleton warriors and skeleton mages increased significantly. The Soul Devourer King's recovery speed instantly couldn't keep up with the damage it was taking. In the end, it let out a final scream and collapsed. However, I also lost 7 skeleton warriors. The system notified me that I had killed the Soul Devourer King, gaining 5.5 million experience points, and obtaining the Soul Devourer Dagger, Soul Devourer Spear, and Soul Devourer Ring, as well as 5 soul crystals. The Soul Devourer Dagger is a platinum tier weapon exclusive to assassin classes. It increases all attributes by 2,500 and boosts assassin skills by 80%. It also has a passive skill. Each attack deals damage to the target soul, ignoring defense, physical immunity, and elemental immunity. The Soul Devourer Spear is a platinum tier weapon exclusive to knight classes. It increases all attributes by 2,500 and boosts knight skills by 80%. It also has a skill called Absorption. Each time it defends, it absorbs a portion of the enemy's attack power to restore its own health. The Soul Devourer Ring is a platinum tier accessory. It increases all attributes by 1,000 and reduces skill consumption by 20%. The Soul Crystals, when used, permanently increase mental power by 1,000 points, with no usage limit. I never expected that the Soul Devourer King's lair would hide a secret realm, and inside, there was an entity even stronger than the Soul Devourer King. Even after summoning all my Lich generals, the skeleton army still suffered heavy losses. After I killed the Soul Devourer King, it dropped a generous amount of loot. Among them, one accessory stood out. When I saw the Soul Devourer Ring's attributes, I couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. A 20% reduction in skill consumption. This attribute was perfect for me. However, the Soul Devourer Ring is a platinum tier item, so I'd have to wait until level 40 to use it. The Soul Devourer Dagger skills were also excellent, and could be given to Ache. The Soul Devourer Spear skills were great too, making it a top-tier spear for knights. But what surprised me the most were the Soul Crystals, a permanent increase of 1,000 mental power, with no usage limit. While not as good as ultimate divine artifacts, they were incredibly useful for me right now, because what I lacked the most at the moment was mental power. Even if I exhausted all my mental power, I could only summon 1 Lich General. To summon 10 Lich Generals at once, I'd need to keep consuming resources. However, I didn't use the Soul Crystals immediately. Instead, I looked toward a nearby 100-meter hill. That was the Soul Devourer King's lair. When the Soul Devourer King died, I clearly felt the hill tremble slightly. Moreover, I sensed a very familiar aura there, the aura of a secret realm. So I quickly ran forward. My intuition was correct. It really was a secret realm. I knew how rare such realms were. Clearing it would yield unimaginable rewards. So without hesitation, I entered. But just as I stepped into the realm, a group of adventurers arrived nearby. They were a team of 12 Dragon Clan adventurers. Such teams were known among adventurers as Hell difficulty raid teams. They specialized in clearing dungeons on Hell difficulty. Their equipment was far superior to that of other adventurers, and their skills were well-rounded. Their teamwork was, of course, impeccable. But when they saw what had happened here, they were all stunned. Who could have done this? To achieve something like this, the entire Soul Devourer territory has been destroyed. Only the Soul Devourer King's lair remains. They couldn't tell who had won this battle. Then, one of them suggested, "Should we go take a look?" But if the Soul Devourer King was still alive, if they rushed in recklessly, they might end up losing their lives. But if they didn't take a look, they would feel too uneasy. How about we take a quick look from a distance? If things go south, we'll run immediately. Even if the Soul Devourer King is still alive, it must be severely injured. We might even get a lucky break. So, gathering their courage, they headed toward the king's lair. After they left, another group appeared. It was also a team of 12, wearing the distinctive uniforms of Shajin Academy, with the emblem of the Genesis Academy. All of them were above level 48, and their leader, a knight, had already reached level 50. After some discussion, they made the same decision. They cautiously approached the Soul Devourer King's lair. Meanwhile, I had already been transported into the secret realm. The entire realm was filled with a strange energy. At the same time, I sensed the aura of the Soul Devourer King here. This meant that this was the Soul Devourer King's true lair. With this in mind, I began exploring the realm. Soon, I saw clusters of dome-like structures that closely resembled the hills outside. Aside from being smaller, they were almost identical. I cast a detection spell. Soul Devourer Nest, Juvenile. A nest that breeds soul devourers. There was only a name and description, but no level or attributes. With a glance, I instantly understood. The soul devourers outside were bred from these things. But where did these juvenile nests come from? Could they have been created by the Soul Devourer King? Suddenly, another thought crossed my mind. I quickly walked deeper into the realm. Sure enough, I saw several soul devourers in the depths of the realm, but these were different from ordinary soul devourers. Their size was only slightly smaller than the Soul Devourer King's, and in their midst, there was a beast as large as a small mountain. Its body was even fused with the surrounding terrain. It was unimaginably huge. At that moment, I realized that the Soul Devourer King I had fought earlier wasn't the final boss. It was this creature before me. I immediately cast a detection spell. To my shock, it was a level 56 world-class boss. Its strength and agility were both 0, but its mental power and constitution were both a staggering 200,000. At this moment, I finally showed a hint of astonishment. Is this the difference between a world-class boss and a lord-class boss? It's only one level higher than the Soul Devourer King, but its total attributes are 100,000 higher, and its skills and traits are also extraordinary. This was beyond my imagination. This was the strongest boss I had ever encountered. Based on its attributes and skills, it was clearly a magic-based boss, and it was also an immobile boss. At this moment, the 4 soul devourers beside it let out low growls, clearly sensing danger. But strangely, they didn't attack me. It wasn't until I checked their attributes that I understood. These soul devourers had no offensive abilities at all. Instead, they existed solely to provide a mental shield for the Soul Devourer Queen, but their mental power was absurdly high. Combined with their traits of reducing physical and elemental damage, the shield they formed would be terrifyingly strong. Thinking this, I immediately summoned 10 Lich generals. Then, an army of 3,000 skeletons appeared. As the Lich generals buffed them with various spells, the next moment, the skeletons charged forward with a cacophony of clattering bones. The skeleton mages stayed behind, casting spells that illuminated half the realm. At that moment, the 4 soul devourer guards emitted a blue light. The next second, a shield appeared around each of them. Then, the 4 shields connected, merging into one massive shield that enveloped both themselves and the Soul Devourer Queen. This meant that to kill them, I would first have to break this shield. But with the 4 soul devourer guards combined, their total mental power reached a staggering 800,000. The shield they formed was beyond imagination. As the skeleton's attacks landed on the mental shield, they only caused ripples on its surface. Keep in mind, the skeleton warriors, after being buffed by the Lich General, had strength attributes exceeding 50,000. The skeleton mage's mental power was as high as 100,000. Yet even with this, they still couldn't break the mental shield. The undead legion bombarded the shield relentlessly, but it showed no signs of weakening. Suddenly, I noticed that the energy in the realm was continuously flowing into the Soul Devourer Queen's body. At that moment, I finally understood. The entire realm was providing energy to the Soul Devourer Queen, and the Queen, in turn, was supplying energy to the 4 guards. To break the mental shield, I would essentially be fighting against the energy of the entire realm. No wonder, over countless years, no one had ever managed to kill the Soul Devourer Queen. With such defensive power, even a level 60+ adventurer team might not be able to handle it. Suddenly, a mournful, wailing sound emanated from the Soul Devourer skill. Soul Explosion. The sea bone armor on my body shimmered brightly, blocking the attack. But then, the glow of the sea bone armor dimmed significantly. Clearly, the armor had been severely damaged. The skeletons also suffered varying degrees of damage from this skill. However, as the Lich generals cast healing spells, the skeletons' injuries were instantly healed. At this point, the battle had reached a stalemate. My mind raced, trying to figure out how to break the enemy's mental shield. The Soul Devourer Queen seemed to have the same thought. wanting to kill me to avenge the Soul Devourer King. Then, its body erupted with a deep blue light. The next second, the sea bone armor on my body glowed brightly again. Then, my body shuddered violently. Clearly, I had been attacked again, and the attack was incredibly powerful. The glow of the sea bone armor even reached its peak intensity. This situation had only occurred once before, when I was attacked by the Flame Demon King. At this level, my sea bone armor could only withstand 2 more attacks, so I quickly summoned a new set of sea bone armor. The Soul Devourer Queen, realizing its attack had no effect, began to shift its target. The next moment, a skeleton warrior died silently. The Lich general commanding it reported that its death was caused by its soul being frozen. Clearly, this skill could instantly kill a skeleton warrior, leaving no chance for the Lich generals to heal them. Soon, nearly 20 skeleton warriors had died in this manner. I never expected that I, who had always challenged higher-level enemies, would be so thoroughly beaten in the secret realm of the ancient battlefield. Even after exhausting all my trump cards, I couldn't make a dent in the enemy's defenses. Facing the Soul Devourer Queen's Soul Frost skill, the skeleton warriors suffered unprecedented losses. So, I began trying to use Soul Flame attacks on the Soul Devourer guards, but the mental shield was too strong. I couldn't lock onto the targets through it. Not only Soul Flame, but even Damage Curse was blocked. As I watched the skeleton warriors being picked off one by one, while I couldn't even harm the enemy, I knew this couldn't continue. So, with a thought, I commanded the skeleton mages to focus their attacks on a single spot. In an instant, over 1,000 spells landed on the mental shield. The next moment, the mental shield underwent a new change. Instead of just rippling, the attacked area actually dented inward. Seeing this, my eyes lit up. I ordered the skeleton mages to continue attacking that spot, but gradually, I noticed something was off. After the initial slight distortion and dent, there were no further changes. Even after several minutes of attacks, the dent remained slight. During this time, another 20 skeleton warriors were picked off. At the same time, in the Soul Devourer Queen's eyes, I saw pure mockery. Though I was furious, there was truly no way to break the mental shield. Reluctantly, I prepared to exit the secret realm, only to find that the realm had been sealed by a mysterious force, turning it into a closed space. It seemed the Soul Devourer Queen had no intention of letting me leave. In that case, I might as well go all out. I walked up to the shield and aimed at the same spot, casting the skill, Sea Bone Spikes. A total of 1,200 sea bone spikes exploded on the shield simultaneously. The shield in that area immediately dented inward, forming a deep shan, but the shield remained intact, showing no signs of breaking. Even after casting sea bone spikes 10 times in a row, I could only achieve this much. Keep in mind, sea bone spikes have incredible penetrating power. Even the Dragon Clan's armor couldn't withstand them, yet they had no effect on this shield. The next moment, the shield instantly returned to normal. Seeing this, I clenched my fist and slammed it against the mental shield. Damn it! This was the first time a secret realm had made me so helpless. But just then, my eyes lit up, because within the shield, I sensed a familiar energy, soul energy. The shield contained an immense amount of soul energy. Seeing this, I was overjoyed. Soul Flame ignited in the palm of my hand. The next moment, the previously indestructible shield was instantly set ablaze. As expected, a shield made of soul and mental energy was most vulnerable to Soul Flame, which could burn souls. Seeing this, the Soul Devourer Queen it frantically attacked me, trying to stop me with its Soul Frost skill, but its attacks were all blocked by my sea bone armor. So, I ignored it and continued casting Soul Flame. 1 minute later, I finally burned a hole in the mental shield. Seeing this, I smirked. Finally, I can lock on. As a flame flew from my palm, one of the Soul Devourer guards let out a scream. Its scales and fur stood on end, and its massive body trembled violently. Then, the skeleton mage's attacks poured through the hole. At the same time, I cast Damage Curse. With only 50,000 constitution, the Soul Devourer guard was instantly obliterated by the combined attacks of Soul Flame, the skeleton mages, and the 10x damage boost from Damage Curse. Then, I raised my hand and cast Corpse Explosion. A massive explosion rang out, instantly killing the other 3 Soul Devourer guards. I then detonated the 3 corpses, but it only slightly injured the Soul Devourer Queen. This was because the Queen's constitution was a staggering 200,000, far exceeding that of the guards. So, corpse explosion could only wound it. But with the death of the guards, the mental shield completely disappeared. The skeleton warriors and skeleton mages began a frenzied counterattack. The Soul Devourer Queen immediately felt the fear of death. Its entire body began to tremble, and then large clumps of small mounds fell from its body. These were all juvenile Soul Devourer nests. Then, the soul energy in the realm flowed into them, and the nests began to grow rapidly. In just 3 seconds, they were already over 10 meters tall. I immediately realized this was its skill, super incubation. It used the soul energy in the realm to rapidly hatch Soul Devourers, but it didn't realize that the more Soul Devourers there were, the faster it would die. Each Soul Devourer would become its death sentence. In just a few seconds, nearly 100 powerful giant Soul Devourers had been hatched. Though they weren't as large as the Soul Devourer King, they were far larger than ordinary Soul Devourers. Seeing this, I ordered the skeletons to focus their attacks on a single Soul Devourer, because as long as I killed one, the rest could be handled with the corpse explosion skill. But the Soul Devourer Queen clearly didn't realize this. It continued to command the giant Soul Devourers to charge. Under the focused attacks of the skeleton warriors and skeleton mages, one giant Soul Devourer was instantly obliterated. Then, I cast corpse explosion on its body. A massive explosion erupted, instantly killing the surrounding giant Soul Devourers. I continued to cast corpse explosion, and seeing this, the Soul Devourer Queen finally felt the threat of death. But since it couldn't move, it could only be engulfed by the explosions. A minute later, the explosions finally ceased, and the Soul Devourer Queen was dead beyond dead. The next moment, the system notified me that I had killed the Soul Devourer Queen, gaining 5.6 million experience points, and obtaining a Soul Devourer egg, 5 soul crystals, and a soul gem. The Soul Devourer egg could be hatched by a summoner to produce a Soul Devourer Queen. Having experienced the Queen's power firsthand, I knew how valuable this was. If I were to sell it, summoners would fight tooth and nail to get their hands on it. But compared to the Soul Gem, it was nothing, because the Soul Gem permanently increased mental energy recovery speed by 100 times. Under normal meditation, mental energy recovery speed was only about 20 times faster than usual. Even in the academies, skill training chambers, mental energy recovery speed was only 50 times faster. Only in military training grounds could recovery speed reach 100 times. This meant that with the Soul Gem, my mental energy recovery speed would be as fast as in military training grounds. This way, I would no longer have to worry about training skills. In addition, I obtained 10 soul crystals, bringing the total to 15 after the Soul Devourer King's drops. Thus, I could permanently increase my mental power by 15,000 points. No wonder Bai Shun and the others said the ancient battlefield was full of opportunities. In just one day, I had obtained so many treasures. If this continued, I'd be swimming in riches. Thinking this, I couldn't help but feel a surge of joy. But little did I know, killing the Soul Devourer Queen had triggered a strange phenomenon in the ancient battlefield. The unchanging light in the sky suddenly became chaotic. Countless people looked up at the sky. Many veterans who had been here for years murmured solemnly, "It's the sign of a world-class boss's death. I wonder what treasures it dropped." This was an elderly human who had already reached level 60. His teammate asked curiously, "I heard that world-class bosses always drop special items. Is that true?" The old man nodded. "Of course it's true, and those items are extremely rare and valuable." Hearing this, the teammate's eyes lit up. "Then let's go find a world-class boss." The old man chuckled dismissively. "You think world-class bosses are easy to find? They're hidden in various secret realms. Without luck, you'll never find one. And even if you do, you might not be able to defeat it. You could end up dead instead." It wasn't just him. Anyone who had spent years in the ancient battlefield knew what the change in the light meant. Whoever had killed the world-class boss was not someone to be trifled with. I, however, was unaware of the outside world. After the Soul Devourer Queen's death, the secret realm began to gradually disappear. But this didn't mean the realm would vanish completely. In the future, a new Soul Devourer Queen would be born in the realm, and it would hatch a new swarm of Soul Devourers, along with a new Soul Devourer King. This cycle would repeat endlessly. Just like the elemental realm in the third battlefield, the elemental queen would, in the near future, be reborn, and the cycle would continue. The same would happen here, reappear. Just as I was recalling the undead legion and preparing to exit the secret realm, I suddenly noticed something unusual on the ground. It emitted a faint purple glow, resembling a knight's shield. But my intuition told me this was no ordinary item. I had finally encountered the great opportunity to lay the foundation for becoming a divine tier professional. And with the blood of Dragon Clan professionals, I had established my authority as a powerful figure. After killing the Soul Devourer Queen, as I prepared to leave the secret realm, I suddenly noticed a mysterious token embedded in the ground. I immediately cast a detection spell, and its information panel appeared before me. *** primordial rune ***, a token granting access to the primordial space. Seeing this, I was overwhelmed with excitement. By Yuan's description of the ancient battlefield, the primordial space was the greatest opportunity it offered. Inside, one could obtain various treasures and skills, but gaining entry was extremely difficult, and the primordial space itself was fraught with danger. A single misstep could mean death. Yuan had once spoken of the immense benefits he gained from it. It was those very things that laid the foundation for him becoming a divine tier professional. If he hadn't entered the primordial space back then, he might never have reached such heights. Meng Anwen had also told me that the human race's detection spell originated from the primordial space. This alone showed how mysterious and valuable the primordial space was. I never expected that within the Soul Devourer's nest, there would be a primordial rune hidden. The moment I picked up the primordial rune, the mysterious inscriptions on it began to glow. Golden light erupted, and in the next second, it transformed into a stream of light and merged into my body. A beam of golden light shot out from me, piercing the sky. Suddenly, a dagger stabbed toward me from behind. Fortunately, my
immediately cast the skill Slow Curse. The cursed ambusher was instantly revealed. It was a Dragonkin assassin. Seeing this, the skeleton warrior by my side sprang into action. Two large blades swung down fiercely at him, but the Dragonkin assassin quickly retreated, easily dodging the skeleton warrior's attack. Due to the Dragonkin's natural resistance to curses, the effect of the Slow Curse significantly weakened on them. Seeing this, I immediately cast the skill Seabone Spikes. In an instant, 1,200 Seabone Spikes shot out. The Dragonkin assassin, being too close, couldn't dodge, and was instantly turned into a pincushion by the spikes. However, the next second, a healing spell landed on him. A pair of Dragonkin professionals were rapidly approaching. The leader immediately ordered them to kill me. 12 Dragonkin professionals attacked me almost simultaneously. At that moment, a crimson red light shot up from my body into the sky. This red light would last for a full 10 days. Bai Yuan once told me about the rules of the primordial runes. After obtaining a primordial rune, it would be marked by a red light, visible for thousands of miles. Therefore, all creatures in the ancient battlefield would join the snatch. The only way to snatch was to kill the owner, and the primordial rune would drop again. If the primordial rune remained on you for 10 days, you'd truly become its owner. But for any professional, this was as difficult as reaching the heavens, unless your strength surpassed all creatures in the ancient battlefield. Even Bai Yuan almost died here back then, and now, this was happening to me. But I wasn't the least bit afraid. Instead, I felt a bit excited. Since they wanted to take something from me, I would play along, until everyone feared me. Thinking this, a wave of killing intent rose within me. I coldly stared at the approaching Dragonkin professionals. Let's start with you. By now, the Dragonkin professionals were right in front of me. Their eyes were filled with greed and ferocity. After all, a level 30 human like me was nothing to them. They thought they could finish me off in minutes. But when they saw me slowly raising my hand to resist, they paused and started to mock me. You, a level 30 human brat, dare to resist our level 50 Dragonkin elite squad? I suggest you just accept your death, and spare yourself the pain. But as soon as he finished speaking, countless shadows emerged from the ground. In an instant, 3,000 skeletons filled the entire area. The once confident Dragonkin professionals were instantly stunned. They thought I had just luckily found the primordial rune, and came to take it without hesitation. They never expected my strength to be so terrifying. But now it was too late. They were already surrounded by the skeleton army. The Lich general raised his staff, and began casting buffs. A white light shot into the sky, and all the skeletons were enveloped in golden light. The skeleton warriors swung their blades, and charged at the Dragonkin professionals. The skeleton mages unleashed elemental skills. That fell like a tidal wave. The Dragonkin professionals turned pale. The sudden turn of events left them disoriented. The leading knight shouted, "Activate group protection." He tried to use his shield to block the skeleton army's attack, but he overestimated his strength. Even as a level 50 Dragonkin knight, 20 levels higher than me, he was no match for the Soul Devourer King. After all, even the Soul Devourer King could only be killed by the Undead Legion, let alone a team like theirs. Just one round of attacks from the skeleton mages was enough to overwhelm them. The Dragonkin knight's shield shattered instantly. He was engulfed in the elemental barrage. The rest of the team didn't fare any better. They were quickly torn apart by the skeletons. In just a few moments, the once proud Dragonkin elite squad was annihilated. The knight's group protection shattered like glass. In an instant, then, in less than 3 seconds, all 12 Dragonkin professionals, including the Dragon Knight, were dead. The entire battle lasted less than half a minute. Compared to my battles with world-class bosses, this was nothing. Afterward, my military emblem glowed with a pure white light again. The 6th and 7th golden stars appeared in succession. Killing 12 high-level Dragonkin professionals earned me 12,000 military merits. My total military merits reached exactly 70,000, promoting me to the rank of 7-star sentinel. Afterward, I looted the Dragonkin professionals' equipment and left the area, but shortly after leaving, I heard rapid footsteps around me. Soon, a group of people came into view. They wore uniforms marked with the emblems of Shajin Academy and Genesis Academy. It was another 12-person team. The moment they saw me, they assumed combat stances. With a single order from their leader, they could attack and seize the primordial rune at any moment. But when they saw my military emblem, the leader relaxed their guard. "Junior, why are you in the ancient battlefield at level 30? He spoke with a friendly tone, but I didn't answer him. Instead, I asked what they wanted. Hearing this, he frowned slightly, feeling like I wasn't being very cooperative. Still, he patiently replied, "You're from Shajin Academy, right? We're from Genesis Academy. I'm Lin Yijan." I still didn't respond. Seeing this, Lin Yijan began to show displeasure. "Do you realize how dangerous your situation is?" Of course, I knew he was referring to the primordial rune. I casually replied, "I know." Hearing this, Lin Yijan quickly added, "We can protect you and help you survive these 10 dangerous days." But I shook my head, indicating I didn't need their help. Internally, I found his offer laughable. In the upper layers of the ancient battlefield, I didn't need anyone's protection. Without hesitation, I turned and left. During these 10 days, I didn't want to interact with too many people. If they were enemies, fine, I could just fight them. But since they were fellow humans, I couldn't attack them outright. So, keeping my distance was the best approach. Watching my retreating figure, one of the knights couldn't help but speak up. "That kid is a bit ungrateful, isn't he?" Lin Yijan nodded. "He might be a prodigy. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in the ancient battlefield at level 30. Another knight sneered, "He's lucky to have obtained the primordial rune. Too bad it wasn't us." Lin Yijan's expression hardened. "Don't get any ideas. He's still a member of the human race. And our junior." The knight smiled. "Don't worry, I won't touch him. But without our protection, he probably won't last long. A mere level 30, daring to move alone in the ancient battlefield. Does he think he's a level 60 professional?" But Lin Yijan shook his head. The reason he's so confident might be because he knows the power of the primordial rune. Someone like him must come from an extraordinary background. I suspect he might have a soul mark. Even if he dies here, he can revive. If that's the case, and we attack him, it will quickly come to light. Hearing this, the others immediately understood. I could die, but not by their hands. So, they decided to follow me secretly. My skills had just been significantly enhanced, but I was immediately targeted by numerous monsters seeking the primordial rune. Even rare demons like succubi joined the hunt. It turned out that shortly after I rejected Lin Yijan, news of my possession of the primordial rune had spread. I began using the soul crystals I had on me. As the soul crystals merged into my body, my spirit attribute skyrocketed. In an instant, my base spirit increased from 4,000 to 5,000. Within just 2 minutes, I had used up all 15 soul crystals, and my base spirit soared to 19,000. Combined with the bonuses from my equipment, my spirit now reached a staggering 22,000. This far surpassed the attributes of other level 30 professionals. Next, I took out a soul gem. Compared to soul crystals, soul gems were 100 times more powerful. They increased my spirit regeneration rate by 100 times. Whether for skill training or sustained combat, this would provide a massive boost. With this, I had a much better chance of protecting the primordial rune. Without hesitation, I activated the soul gem. The soul gem dissolved into a blue mist and entered my mental world. I felt as though I had been submerged in a vast blue ocean. My depleted spirit began to recover rapidly. In just 5 minutes, my spirit was fully restored. This is incredible. It's even faster than the recovery speed of military training grounds. Moreover, due to the rapid increase in spirit, the total amount recovered per unit of time was much greater than before. Now, with just a few minutes of meditation, I could restore most of my spirit, enough to sustain battle after battle. At that moment, a cold laugh echoed from the sky. A deep demon appeared in the air. This deep demon had a long tongue and a body resembling a spider, making it look extremely bizarre. After scanning it, I realized it was a level 50 deep venom demon. Its total attributes reached 110,000. Among humans, dragonkin, and deep demons had the strongest attributes. Their attributes surpassed even elite monsters. The same level, humans and dragonkin could only compete. In terms of attributes, after fully buffing themselves, the deep venom demon finally spoke. Most human professionals here are at least level 50. How did a level 30 brat like you get in? And with such luck, you even obtained the primordial rune. But unfortunately, it will end up in my hands. It laughed loudly in the air, as if the primordial rune was already its possession. But I just smiled. I casually tossed out a soul flame, and simultaneously cast the damage curse skill. It didn't even have time to scream before being reduced to ashes. Unlike dragonkin professionals, it had no resistance to curses. Under the effect of the damage curse, it couldn't withstand the soul flame's defense ignoring properties. The system notified me. You have killed a level 50 deep venom demon. Experience 2 million. Military merits 2,000. Everything that happened here was witnessed by Lin Yijian and his team behind me. When they saw this, they were all in disbelief. Am I seeing this right? He's only level 30. How could he kill a level 50 deep venom demon? You know, even our squad would struggle against a deep venom demon. Yet he killed it in an instant. Could he have used some treasure to hide his true level? Lin Yijian sighed and said, it seems we've underestimated him. He truly has the capability to roam the ancient battlefield. No wonder he didn't need our protection earlier. But he's still just one person. If he encounters multiple demons at once, it might not end well. And the ancient battlefield has even more terrifying bosses. Lin Yijian and his team didn't approach, keeping a distance of several hundred meters behind me. They weren't willing to give up on the extremely rare primordial rune. At that moment, I felt the ground tremble slightly. Looking around, I saw a horde of monsters charging toward me. The monsters were of all shapes and sizes, each one unique. The highest level among them was only level 45. Seeing this, I frowned. Could it be that even the ordinary monsters in the ancient battlefield were after the primordial rune? Suddenly, I spotted a deep demon hovering above the monster horde. Its appearance was strange. Unlike the usual ugly deep demons, it had a face resembling that of a human. Exquisitely beautiful. Even among humans, she would be considered a rare beauty. Her ears were slightly pointed, and her figure was curvaceous and full. A long tail swayed behind her. At first glance, she was mesmerizing, almost irresistible. She looked at me from afar and let out a soft laugh, her voice enchanting and captivating. But my sea bone armor flickered, indicating that her laughter contained some form of attack. I immediately cast a detection spell on her. Deep succubus, level 50. Total attributes, 110,000. Possesses the ability to control life forms. 5 levels below her. Ineffective against bosses and leaders. My heart sank. It was a deep succubus. Xu Wei, one of the 12 generals of the Shenxia Empire, had once been controlled by a succubus queen. It seemed this horde of monsters was under her control. No wonder the highest level monster was only level 45. Because the succubus could only control life forms 5 levels below her. Her enchanting laughter echoed again, this time closer and more potent. But once again, the charm skill was blocked by my seabone armor. Losing patience, I raised my hand and cast seabone spikes and damage curse. A blood-red sword appeared above her head, while 1,200 terrifying spikes shot toward her. Like soul flame, the power of seabone spikes depended largely on spirit. My spirit had skyrocketed from 7,000 to 22,000, an increase of 3 times. Thus, the skill's power had also increased significantly. Even the speed and piercing power of the seabone spikes far surpassed previous levels. In an instant, they crossed 100 meters and reached the deep succubus. The deep succubus screamed, trying to dodge, but the seabone spikes were too fast. She couldn't react in time, and was turned into a pincushion. With only 20,000 constitution, she couldn't withstand the attack. Fortunately, she had something that saved her life. Seeing this, she quickly controlled the monsters below to attack me, while she fled at high speed. She knew these monsters couldn't stop me, but could only buy her some time to escape. At the same time, she was shocked by my strength. She never expected a level 30 professional To have the power to instantly kill her. No, I must report this to the succubus queen. This human is too dangerous. We must be careful. Meanwhile, I looked at the approaching monsters and smirked. I raised my hand and summoned a skeleton army. The skeleton mage's attacks rained down on the monsters first, instantly killing those at the front. Then, I cast the skill. Corpse explosion. A violent blast erupted among the monster horde. Hearing the commotion, the deep succubus turned back, only to widen her eyes, in shock. More than half of the monsters she controlled had been blown to pieces. 2 more explosions followed, and the remaining monsters were wiped out. The deep succubus witnessed all of this, and her fear of me grew even more. As I watched the deep succubus fly further away, I sighed. If only I could fly, I wouldn't have to watch her escape like this. Afterward, I continued toward the central area of the ancient battlefield, although I didn't know where the primordial space was now. In 10 days, the primordial rune would guide me. Now, I need to head to the divine selection secret realm in the central area to obtain the divine movement skill. Bai Yun said the earlier I acquire it, the better. Originally, my targets were the divine selection secret realm and the demon dragon palace dungeon. Now, there's also the primordial space. Shortly after I left, Lin Yijan and his team arrived at the scene. When they saw the countless monster corpses, their expressions froze once again. I can't imagine how he did this. This battle lasted at most 5 minutes, or even less. A teammate curiously asked, if it were us, could we have done the same? Lin Yijan's mouth twitched. Not a chance. Even if we could kill these monsters, it would take at least a fierce battle. And with the succubus in the air, it would take half an hour at least. Another teammate then asked, earlier, in the Soul Devourer territory, we didn't see the Soul Devourer king. Do you think he killed it? Lin Yijan's body stiffened. Now that you mention it, that's possible. If he could kill the Soul Devourer king, his true strength is beyond imagination. He's made his move. He's targeting the primordial rune on me. One of the 10 great demon kings, the succubus queen, has finally made her move against me. She didn't hesitate to use her charm skill to control demons and set a trap for me, awakening a long-dormant world-class boss. Just now, the strength I displayed along the way left Lin Yijan in shock. This is a wolf in sheep's clothing. You can imagine the fate of those who try to snatch the primordial rune. Lin Yijan continued to follow me, but his mindset had completely changed. He no longer wanted to play the role of a scavenger or entertain any unrealistic ideas. Now, he just wanted to see how I would bulldoze through everything. Lin Yijan had a feeling that I was deliberately pretending to be weak, luring those who underestimated me into making the first move, but he didn't want this to happen to humans. After all, based on what I had shown so far, I wouldn't show any mercy. This showed how much his mindset had shifted. Suddenly, he remembered that he had once briefly considered killing me. Now, he was glad he hadn't acted on it. Otherwise, his entire team would have been wiped out. But as they turned a corner, his expression froze again. There I was, standing in front of them, as if waiting for them. Lin Yijan swallowed hard and said, "What a coincidence, Junior." I nodded, and asked for directions to the central area. I had known they were following me all along. With my enhanced spirit, my perception had become sharper. Unless they all had stealth skills, it was nearly impossible for them to evade my detection. Although I didn't know their intentions, as long as they didn't provoke me, I wouldn't bother with them. Facing my question, Lin Yijan immediately pointed in a direction and told me how to get there. After getting the answer, I thanked them politely. Before turning to leave, the sound of the 2 skeletons walking beside me made Lin Yijan feel a bit uneasy. After I left, a teammate couldn't help but ask, if we're not after the primordial rune, why are we still following him? Lin Yijan thought for a moment, before finally saying, because I want to witness history in the making. With that, they continued to follow me. As I made my way to the central area, I encountered another group of Dragonkin professionals. Seeing that I was only level 30, they immediately showed disdain, but little did they know they were about to face a storm. Their faces instantly twisted into bloodthirsty smirks. Humans were already prey to the Dragonkin, and now I had the primordial rune on me. Their desire to kill grew even stronger. In the next second, they all lunged at me simultaneously, not even considering a mere level 30 human a threat. But when my skill, damage curse, descended upon the area, followed by rows of sea bone spikes piercing their bodies, the entire Dragonkin squad was wiped out. In less than 10 seconds, they didn't even give the Dragon Knight a chance to use his protective skills. For the next 3 days, one Dragonkin squad after another and groups of deep demons rushed to their deaths. Unknowingly, my military merits reached 100,000. My military emblem turned from silver to gold, and my rank was promoted from second lieutenant to colonel. Although I was now a colonel, I didn't have a single golden star. To earn the first golden star, I needed to accumulate 1 million military merits, 100 times more than the 10,000 required for second lieutenant. Based on high-level demons between level 40 and 50, I would need to kill 1,000 to earn 1 star. For demons above level 50, only 500 kills were needed per star. Repeating this process to reach the rank of general was nearly impossible for ordinary professionals. Even in the Shenxia Empire, generals were extremely rare. As for generals, even high-ranking colonels were uncommon. Now, I was getting closer to the central area, and the number of monsters along the way was increasing. Even the monsters' levels were mostly above 45, with many reaching level 50. As a result, my level was rising rapidly. Along the way, Lin Yijian, who was following me, witnessed firsthand how I bulldozed through everything. Whether it was deep demons or dragonkin squads, none lasted more than 2 minutes against me. But strangely, on the 4th day, no one came to snatch the primordial rune. This made me feel uneasy. Lin Yijian and his team also found it strange. Half a day had passed, and neither deep demons nor dragonkin professionals had made a move. Something was clearly wrong. Immediately became alert. Lin Yijian also sensed something was off. Having spent nearly 2 years in the ancient battlefield, they were familiar with many of its secrets. The current situation made Lin Yijian think of a possibility. He shouted for everyone to retreat immediately. He suspected this might be the territory of a terrifying creature. After saying this, he rushed to my side to warn me of the danger. But as soon as he finished speaking, the ground began to shake violently. Lin Yijian's face turned pale. Damn it, it's too late. At that moment, his teammates ran back. Lin Yijian cursed, idiots. Why did you come back? They smiled and said, we couldn't leave you behind. Since we came together, we'll leave together. Suddenly, a mountain 100 meters away collapsed, revealing a massive monster. Half of its body was buried underground, but even the part that was visible stood 70 to 80 meters tall. It looked like a centipede, with dozens of insect-like legs waving in the air. I was inwardly shocked. If the visible part was already 70 to 80 meters, its full size would likely be close to 200 meters. This was the largest monster I had ever seen. Monster's size often reflected its strength, and this one was clearly a world-class boss. At that moment, the space around us was isolated, forming a closed-off area spanning several kilometers. This space was gradually separating from the ancient battlefield, creating a pocket dimension. Despair filled Lin Yijian and his team's eyes. It's really the Earth Devourer Dragon God. We're doomed. I never thought we'd die at the hands of the Earth Devourer Dragon God. Suddenly, a chilling sensation ran down Lin Yijian's spine. Don't you think the deep demons we've encountered these past 2 days seem to be deliberately leading us in this direction? Hearing this, I also felt something was off. Every time I encountered a deep demon in the past 2 days, it subtly altered my path, clearly guiding me here. Someone had intentionally lured me to this place. Meanwhile, high above the Earth Devourer Dragon God, several kilometers away, the succubus who had narrowly escaped death held a black gem in her hand. The gem projected an image of the succubus queen. The succubus queen's seductive voice rang out, Alice. Did it work? The succubus named Alice nodded vigorously. Great queen, it worked. He has entered the Earth Devourer Dragon God's territory. The Earth Devourer Dragon God has awakened. He's doomed. The succubus queen chuckled. Well done. He is the top genius of this generation among humans. Now that he's died in the ancient battlefield, even if he can revive, he will no longer be a genius. After his death, the Earth Devourer Dragon God will move on. Then, go retrieve the primordial rune. After giving these instructions, the image faded. Meanwhile, the awakened Earth Devourer Dragon God let out a deafening roar, intent on tearing apart the intruders who had disturbed its slumber. Lin Yijian quickly explained what he knew about the Earth Devourer Dragon God. The Earth Devourer Dragon God is one of the most terrifying bosses in the ancient battlefield. It usually remains in a deep slumber, only awakening when it needs to feed, or when someone approaches it. Once awake, it transforms the surrounding area into a secret realm, and all life within that realm becomes its food. I nodded slightly, then cast a detection spell. In the next moment, the Earth Devourer Dragon God's information panel appeared. It was a level 58 world boss, with strength, agility, and constitution all reaching 120,000. Only its spirit was relatively low. Its total attributes were a terrifying 440,000. This was 40,000 higher than the level 56 Soul Devourer Queen. It also had a 30% reduction in both physical and elemental damage. This far surpassed the attributes of my skeleton warriors. Shocked, my true strength was revealed for the first time in the ancient battlefield, leaving all the professionals present in awe. Even the world-class boss, who dominated the area, was terrified. It turned out that on my way to the central area, I had awakened the long-dormant Earth Devourer dragon god. Seeing this, Lin Yijan urged me to flee. He knew the terror of the Earth Devourer dragon god, and believed I stood no chance against it. But I was filled with excitement, and asked Lin Yijan what rewards killing it would bring. Lin Yijan's body stiffened. He hadn't expected me to ask such a question. Now is not the time to discuss this. We should be thinking about how to escape. But my expression told him I wasn't joking. Seeing this, he thought I was insane. Still, he gritted his teeth and said, "The Earth Devourer dragon god is a world boss, so it does drop some special items. The most useful is the toxic gem, but I'm not entirely sure what it does. But killing the Earth Devourer dragon god is nearly impossible. After all, it's a level 58 world boss." After saying this, he gripped his staff tightly, and told his teammates to prepare for battle. "Let's face the Earth Devourer dragon god together." I shook my head. "Step back. The farther, the better." Lin Yijan was stunned. He didn't understand what I meant. Was I afraid they would hold me back? At that moment, a sharp roar interrupted his thoughts. The Earth Devourer dragon god had fully awakened. It leapt out of the ground, its massive insect-like legs sweeping toward us. Lin Yijan and his team turned pale. In the next moment, I stepped forward, shielding them. At the same time, I cast seabone armor on myself. In an instant, a barrage of attacks rained down on me. The seabone armor emitted crisp sounds, while the defensive shield visibly weakened. As expected of a level 58 world boss, its 120,000 strength attribute was no joke. In just one round of attacks, it nearly shattered the seabone armor. I quickly cast a new layer of seabone armor. Looking back at Lin Yijan and his team, the shockwaves from the attack had sent them flying dozens of meters away. They fell to the ground in disarray. Lin Yijan struggled to his feet. He realized that this boss was far beyond what his team could handle. Meanwhile, I stood unharmed, completely unscathed. Under their astonished gazes, I slowly raised my hand. In an instant, the red light of the slow curse skill covered the entire area. The once agile Earth Devourer dragon god slowed down significantly. Not just it, but Lin Yijan and his team also slowed down. This was the effect of the slow curse skill. Any creature within the red light's range would be affected. Only teammates in my party would be spared. Lin Yijan finally understood why I had told them to stay back. It was to avoid collateral damage during my fight. With the Earth Devourer dragon god, the healer immediately used a purification skill to remove the debuff from everyone. Meanwhile, the Earth Devourer dragon god turned its attention to the source of the curse. It glared at me, the one who had dared to curse it. As for Lin Yijan and his team, it paid them no mind. Seeing this, Lin Yijan urged everyone to retreat further. Farther, the better. As they retreated, he couldn't help but glance back at me, wondering how I would handle this terrifying boss. At that moment, I summoned 10 Lich generals. The 10 undead legions appeared behind them. The Lich generals simultaneously cast the skill Legion enhancement. Instantly, the attributes of over 3,000 skeletons were significantly boosted. Seeing this, Lin Yijan and his team were utterly shocked. Holy crap, there are so many. Although they had seen me summon the undead legion in the past few days, it was nothing compared to the current numbers. Their despair turned into hope once more. At that moment, the skeleton warriors charged at the Earth Devourer dragon god. Even facing a terrifying world boss, they showed no fear. Their blades struck the Earth Devourer dragon god repeatedly, while the skeleton mages unleashed their skills. However, the Earth Devourer dragon god had a 30% reduction in elemental damage, and its thick, sturdy scales further mitigated the damage. The skeleton mage's attacks didn't deal much damage. Fortunately, the slow curse had reduced its speed by 60 times, making it unable to counterattack. It realized that if this continued, it would eventually be worn down. The only solution was to eliminate me, the source of the curse. Ignoring the skeleton's attacks, it charged straight at me. With its immense strength, it knocked aside any skeleton warriors in its path. This was the difference in power between us. The Lich generals in the rear healed the injured skeletons. As it closed in on me, I began casting Soul Flame repeatedly. The Earth Devourer dragon god let out agonized roars. The Soul Flame inflicted unprecedented pain, but it didn't stop. It continued charging toward me, its eyes filled with hatred. With a mighty force, it slammed into me. The seabone armor erupted in a blinding white light, followed by countless cracks spreading across its surface. The armor was on the verge of shattering. It seemed like it could shatter at any moment. This showed just how powerful its attack was. Aside from the Flame Demon King, this was the first time I had encountered A monster with such high attack power. Not only was its attack strong, but its defense was equally formidable. Just the 30% reduction in physical and elemental damage was enough to give me a headache. For the first time, I felt that my level was too low. If I could level up by 10 more levels and complete my second class advancement, dealing with it would be much easier. But now, I had no choice but to fight. I quickly cast a new layer of seabone armor, using myself as a shield to draw the Earth Devourer dragon god's attacks. Meanwhile, the skeletons took the opportunity to attack. I continued to cast Soul Flame repeatedly, each strike causing the boss to howl in pain. Its hatred for me grew deeper, and it ignored the skeleton's attacks, focusing solely on killing me. But every time it hit me, it only managed to shatter my seabone armor, failing to deal any significant damage to me. With my high spirit and rapid recovery rate, I could sustain this fight indefinitely. Lin Yijan and his team were dumbfounded. Is this how you fight the Earth Devourer dragon god? What class is he? He's even tankier than a knight. Suddenly, the Earth Devourer dragon god's largest insect leg glowed with white light. Skill. Slash. The leg transformed into an unstoppable blade, frantically slashing at me. The seabone armor crackled under the assault, showing that this skill was even more powerful. As the armor shattered, I immediately cast another layer. After 3 consecutive casts, the seabone armor finally withstood the attack. At that moment, I replaced the slow curse with the damage curse. Simultaneously, I commanded the skeleton warriors to use frenzied strike. Over 1,000 skeleton warriors activated the skill at the same time, combined with the 10x damage boost from the damage curse. The Earth Devourer dragon god's tough scales were instantly shattered. Gaping wounds appeared all over its body. The skeleton mages followed up with their attacks, dealing massive damage. I didn't stop either, casting seabone spikes at the boss. 1,200 seabone spikes pierced its body in an instant. While a single spike's damage was less than Soulflame, the combined damage far surpassed it. Wave after wave of seabone spikes tore through its body, leaving gaping holes everywhere. The boss screamed in agony, its body thrashing wildly. Skill. Whirlwind. It spun like a top, flinging the skeleton warriors off its body. The skeletons on the ground were also sent flying. The sheer force of the attack injured many skeleton warriors, but the Lich generals quickly healed them. In moments, the injured skeletons were fully restored. At the same time, the Earth Devourer dragon god spewed a massive cloud of green poison. Skill. Deadly poison. The poison covered an area of over a kilometer, but I stood calmly within the poison, unfazed. My elemental resistance reduced the poison's damage by 4 times, making it less threatening than its normal attacks. The skeletons were similarly unaffected. Although they took continuous poison damage, the Lich general's healing kept them safe. Seeing that its skills were ineffective, the desperate Earth Devourer dragon god began digging frantically. Its only thought now was to escape. But I wouldn't let it. I ordered all the skeletons to focus their attacks on it, while I continued to cast seabone spikes. Before it could dig halfway, its life came to an end. The Earth Devourer dragon god was defeated. It never expected that a creature that once dominated the region would die at the hands of a level 30 human. Finally, it exhausted its last drop of blood and collapsed. Mortal had shattered the schemes of a god-like being, even slaying one of the 10 great overlords. The Earth Devourer dragon god, the succubus hiding in the shadows, was terrified. And even the elite team from the Shenxia Empire was stunned by my strength. As the Earth Devourer dragon god drained its last drop of blood, my experience points skyrocketed by 5.8 million. Not only did I obtain 3 top-tier platinum-grade equipment pieces, but I also gained a toxic gem and a toxic crystal. Earth Devourer dragon god's sword, platinum-grade weapon, 3,000 to all attributes, increases the effectiveness of slashing skills by 90%. Skill. Toxic strike, adds poison element to attacks, dealing 1,000 poison damage per second, based on strength. Duration, 1 minute. Earth Devourer dragon god's shield, platinum-grade weapon, 3,000 to all attributes, increases the effectiveness of defensive skills by 90%. Skill. Toxic shield, forms a poison shield for 5 minutes, with defense equal to the user's constitution. Attackers are poisoned, taking 1,000 damage per second based on strength. Duration, 1 minute. Earth Devourer dragon god's robe, platinum-grade armor, 1,500 to all attributes, increases casting speed by 50%. Skill. Toxic barrier, forms a shield, equal to 10,000 constitution. Duration, 5 minutes. Toxic gem, permanently reduces poison damage by 50%. has a chance to grant a poison element skill. Toxic crystal can be combined with other single element crystals to form an elemental divine stone, increasing the chance of third-class advancement. More elements fused, the stronger the stone. Can also be used alone to permanently enhance poison resistance. Seeing the loot, I was thrilled. The 3 near top-tier platinum-grade items and the toxic gem were priceless treasures. The 50% permanent reduction in poison damage, combined with my elemental resistance passive skill, meant I now took 8 times less poison damage. If I was lucky enough to gain a poison element skill, it would be a huge win. What surprised me even more was obtaining the toxic crystal here. I finally realized that elemental crystals could also be obtained by killing world bosses, not just from dungeons. Clearly, Bai Yiyuan had never killed the Earth Devourer dragon god, or he would have told me. As the Earth Devourer dragon god fell, the poison in the area began to dissipate rapidly. Soon, Lin Yizhan and his team saw me standing unharmed amidst the ruins. In front of me lay the massive corpse of the Earth Devourer dragon god. Seeing this, Lin Yizhan and his team were utterly shocked. He actually did it. So strong. Soloing the Earth Devourer dragon god? No one could do that. At that moment, the isolated space began to fade, and a familiar figure appeared. In the sky not far away, the succubus, Alice, looked at me in horror, unharmed. She had planned to retrieve the primordial rune from my corpse, but she never expected that I could solo the Earth Devourer dragon god. Without hesitation, she turned and fled. Now I finally understood why I had been lured here. It was all her doing. But for now, I couldn't deal with her. I would settle the score once I gained the ability to fly. I then took out the toxic crystal and the flame crystal, using my spirit as a bridge to connect them. The red and green crystals glowed faintly, merging together like flowing water. Soon, a brand new item appeared in my hand. The shape of the elemental divine stone had changed, transforming into a hexagonal gem. One side glowed with a fiery red light, while the other emitted a greenish glow. Even its properties had changed. When used during the third-class advancement, it increased the chance of class sublimation by 5%. Although the increase wasn't significant, fusing more elemental crystals would further boost the chances. I then took out the toxic gem. Before using it, I summoned an undead legion to guard me, and cast another layer of seabone armor. I wasn't sure how long it would take to use the toxic gem, or what might happen. As I channeled my spirit into the toxic gem, it exploded in the next moment, transforming into wisps of green mist that merged into my body. At the same time, my attributes changed. Final poison damage taken was reduced by 50%, and combined with the 4x reduction from elemental resistance, my total poison damage reduction reached 8x. At that moment, my entire body erupted with a green light. A green ring of energy burst forth, sweeping across an area of several kilometers. Everything touched by the green ring instantly decayed, turning the area into a lifeless wasteland. The poison was incredibly potent. The system notified me. Skill acquired. Toxic cycle. Creates a toxic aura within a 1-meter radius, dealing 10 strength-based poison damage per second. Duration: 1 second. I was overjoyed. I had actually gained a new skill. Although the toxic cycle seemed weak at level 1, and even after talent amplification, it only had a 40-meter range, dealing 400 strength-based damage per second. For 40 seconds, it was still weaker than a single strike from a skeleton warrior. But if I leveled it up, the damage would become terrifying. This meant I had another skill to train. Meanwhile, in the Hall of Heroes, Bai Yiyuan sensed my condition. Through the soul mark one had left behind. Not long ago, the soul mark had flickered, and Bai Yiyuan smiled faintly. Kid's spirit seems to have grown stronger. And not just by a little. Did he stumble upon some opportunity? At that moment, a red light enveloped my soul mark. Seeing this, Bai Yiyuan was shocked. The primordial rune. This kid actually got the primordial rune. It's only been a few days. He's really hit the jackpot. Though he said this, his expression betrayed his true feelings. The joy on his face was unmistakable. But then his expression turned serious. Getting the primordial rune is good, but the real challenge begins now. I hope you can hold on, kid. At that moment, an elderly man with white hair entered. Despite his age, he was full of vitality, exuding an intimidating aura. He seemed like a peerless expert. By his side was a unicorn wreathed in lightning, the Holy Thunder Unicorn. A unique existence in the Shenxia Empire. Its owner, Mo Xinghai, was a god-level powerhouse, like Bai Yiyuan, and the only god-level summoner. He had come to check on his granddaughter's soul mark. After sensing that Mo Yun was safe in the ancient battlefield, he finally relaxed. Bai Yiyuan teased him. Old Mo, you actually let your precious granddaughter go to the ancient battlefield? Aren't you afraid something might happen to her? Mo Xinghai glared at him. Old Bai, if you don't know how to talk, just keep your mouth shut. Besides, why are you here? Bai Yiyuan chuckled. Aren't you also worried about your disciple getting into trouble in the shield ancient battlefield? Hearing this, Bai Yiyuan said with a smug look on his face. My disciple is of a transcendent divine caliber. How can they be compared to your granddaughter? You are here for your granddaughter's safety, while I'm here to see what opportunities my disciple has gained. After saying this, he added, and when I say transcendent divine caliber, I mean it seriously. Hearing this, Mo Xinghai was visibly shocked. To receive such praise from Bai Yiyuan, there is no one else in the entire human race. At this moment, I continued to move forward under the red beam of light. Along the way, I occasionally unleashed a new skill, the toxic aura. This way, while traveling, I could also level up my skills. As long as I ensured my mental energy stayed above 80%, it was fine. It had been a full 8 days since I arrived at the ancient battlefield. I finally reached the central area of the ancient battlefield. This was just the edge of the central region. To reach the true core area, it would take at least another month, and the divine selection manual I was looking for was said to appear near the core area. Lin Yijian and the others were still following behind me. After 2 more days of travel, another 100 Dragon Clan professionals had fallen by my hand. My military merits had now reached 200,000, just 800,000 short of becoming a 1-star colonel. I finally arrived at the divine selection grounds, a place coveted by countless powerful beings. But before I could step into the divine selection realm, the demon king of the abyss descended upon this place in person, intent on seizing the primordial runes on my body and rendering me completely powerless. At this moment, I was advancing toward the core area, when suddenly, a red light identical to the one on my body appeared in the mist. This indicated that someone else had obtained a primordial rune. The red light danced in the air, and its owner rode atop a pure white unicorn, radiating a holy aura. When I got a clear look at their face, I was slightly stunned. It was Moyue, whom I had met in the number 3 battlefield. I hadn't expected him to also come to the ancient battlefield, and even obtain a primordial rune. However, his eyes now held a trace of panic. The moment he appeared, I clearly sensed a faint teleportation aura in the space around him. It was obvious he had used a teleportation talisman to get here, which meant someone was chasing him. So, I called out his name. Hearing the voice, Moyue immediately turned around. When he saw it was me, the fear in his heart instantly vanished. Although we hadn't interacted much, my strength had left a deep impression on him. Even someone as proud as him had to admit my superiority. Seeing the same red light emanating from my body, he was once again shocked. He couldn't believe that at just level 30, I had already obtained a primordial rune. Just as he was about to ask how I got it, his expression suddenly changed. In the distance, a large group of abyss demons appeared in the sky. Without time to question further, he urged me to flee with him, but instead of running, I stood still, a wicked smile spreading across my face. As I turned to face the approaching demon horde, "We don't need to run," I said. "They're the ones who should be running." Among the abyss demons, I spotted a familiar face, the same demon I had defeated twice before, Alice the demon. From afar, Alice also saw me, and her face immediately filled with terror. "Retreat, retreat now." In an instant, the entire demon horde turned and fled. Moyue was stunned by this sight. He hadn't expected the demons he feared so much to be so terrified of me. He guessed that Alice must have fought me before and been utterly crushed, which was why she fled at the sight of me. Then, he turned his gaze back to me, his eyes asking what had happened. I shrugged, indicating I wasn't sure either. Maybe she's just scared of me after our previous encounters. Then, I told Moyue to stay with me until he fully integrated the primordial rune. Hearing this, Moyue quickly nodded in agreement. He knew that as long as I was around, the demons coveting his primordial rune wouldn't dare make a move. Meanwhile, Alice the succubus and her horde of demons fled a great distance before stopping. These demons were all above level 50, surpassing even Alice herself, yet they now followed her lead, a situation that was highly unusual. In the hierarchy of abyss demons, Alice patted her chest, still shaken. "We got away just in time," she said, "otherwise we'd all be done for." Some of the demons behind her, however, were confused. "Lady Alice," one asked, "why are you so afraid of that level 30 human?" Alice quickly explained, "It's not fear, I just can't risk disrupting the Demon King's plan. This plan has been in the works for a long time, and there can't be any mistakes along the way." At the mention of the Demon King, the demons' eyes glazed over with reverence. "Don't worry, Lady Alice," they said, "we'll give it our all." to ensure the Demon King's plan succeeds. Just then, a dazzling light shot out from the core area, spreading across the nearly infinite sky, and illuminating the entire ancient battlefield. That was the most dangerous place, but also the place with the most opportunities. Even world bosses and hidden realms could be found there. The most well-known of these was the Divine Selection Realm. Almost everyone who came to the ancient battlefield hoped to gain a trace of divinity from it. For human professionals, divinity could increase the chance of a class evolution during their job advancement, and the earlier it was obtained, the better. Bai Yun once told me that if I could gain divinity by level 30, by the time I reached level 40 for my second job advancement, combined with the Nirvana crystal, the probability of a class evolution would rise to 99%. This showed just how important divinity was. For Dragon Clan professionals, it was slightly different. Divinity could awaken their bloodline, even potentially unlocking their primordial bloodline, greatly enhancing their combat power. For Abyss demons, it was simpler. By consuming divinity, they could advance, even directly ascending to become demon kings. The value of divinity was immense, which was why every time the Divine Selection Realm appeared, it sparked a fierce battle. But the Divine Selection Secret Realm, located in the upper space of the ancient battlefield, only ranked second. First place goes to the primal space, which requires primal runes to enter. Third is the Demon Dragon Temple Dungeon, where dragon whales can drop. But aside from these three great opportunities, there's another legendary opportunity said to not belong to the primal space. However, no one has ever obtained it. That is, a world boss located in the core region, a being so powerful that no one has ever been able to challenge it. And now, my most important task is to enter the Divine Selection Secret Realm and obtain the Divine Movement skill from it. Because my experience points have already reached 63%, if I don't enter the Divine Selection Secret Realm before leveling up, all my efforts will be in vain. At that moment, a powerful aura descended from the sky, instantly locking onto me and Mo Yun. I saw a pair of dragon race professionals appearing in the air. Their levels were all above 50, clearly targeting the primal runes that Mo Yun and I possessed. Little did they know, this decision would lead them into an abyss. The leading dragon professional looked at us with greed in his eyes. A level 30 and a level 41 human brat. Both of you have primal runes. We've hit the jackpot this time. A bloodthirsty smile spread across his face, as if he had already decided our fate. With that, he ordered everyone to attack me. The next moment, a dense rain of swords fell from the sky, followed by massive meteor-like projectiles. Facing the incoming attacks, I felt no fear at all. After all, in the past few days, I had wiped out over 10 dragon squads. This dragon squad before me was only of average strength. With a wave of my hand, I cast sea bone armor on myself, letting the furious attacks rain down on me. Compared to the Earth Dragon God's devastating strikes, this level of attack was laughably weak. Even after taking the full brunt of their assault, my sea bone armor remained intact. The dragon professionals were stunned by this sight. Under such an onslaught, even a level 60 professional wouldn't have emerged unscathed. In the next moment, a terrifying killing intent erupted from me, mixed with a strong dragon aura, the remnants of dragons I had slain. Feeling this aura, the dragon professionals were instantly filled with fear. They realized that many powerful dragons had fallen by my hand. Now, their only thought was to flee, but it was already too late. With a single hand gesture, a red light enveloped the entire area. Skill, damage, curse. Then, I hurled soul flames one after another. Screams filled the air as the dragon mage, drunken immortal, fell first. Next, the priest and archer followed. Only the dragon knight leader survived, thanks to his absolute defense skill, but he was already at his limit. With a final move, I used corpse explosion on the fallen bodies, and the dragon knight met his end. The entire battle lasted only about 2 minutes. Mo Yun, watching from a distance, was too shocked to speak. "Don't worry, it's fine," I said casually, but the words lingered in his ears. Just as he was about to respond, the space around us darkened abruptly, and a massive barrier descended, enveloping us completely. However, this was all within my expectations. Today was the final day for the primal rune fusion, and the abyss demons would undoubtedly make their move. Sure enough, a large number of abyss demons appeared within the barrier, including the succubus, Alice. "We meet again," she said with a sly smile. "Even the Earth Dragon God couldn't kill you. This time, you're doomed." As she spoke, the black gem in her hand burst into radiant light. In the next moment, the alluring figure of the succubus queen appeared before everyone's eyes. She looked at me and giggled. "We meet again, little Lin Moyu. To think that a mere prey could defeat the exclusive skills of a divine level expert." and single-handedly overturned the nest of high-level demons, even slaying the Lord-level boss, the World Devourer demon. It turned out that Alice had used the black gem to summon the succubus queen's projection. The moment she appeared, Mo Yun sensed an overwhelming aura emanating from her. This aura felt like a mountain pressing down on him. When he realized she was the succubus queen who had invaded the professional tournament, he was utterly shocked. The Abyss Demon King, she's at least level 90, on par with humanity's divine level experts. How could she appear here? The succubus queen chuckled. Little one, your strength truly impresses me. Why not join the Abyss and serve me? I promise you won't be disappointed. Then, she turned her gaze to Mo Yun. You, little girl, come along as well. As she spoke, a strange energy swirled in her eyes, and the light around us seemed to freeze. Mo Yun's eyes glazed over in confusion, but as I cast sea bone armor on her, she snapped back to reality. However, what had just happened left her deeply shaken. It also left her feeling a lingering fear. For a brief moment, she had wanted to submit to the succubus queen, even to die for her. She realized this was the succubus queen's ability, charm. Many human professionals had been ensnared by her charm, willingly becoming her slaves. Fortunately, the sea bone armor blocked the succubus queen's power. Thinking of this, she gave me a grateful look. My expression remained calm and indifferent, unmoved by the situation. I, too, was protected by a layer of sea bone armor. Seeing this, the succubus queen's projection showed a hint of surprise. It failed? What a pity. In that case, I'll just have to eliminate you. As soon as she finished speaking, the black gem in Alice's hand shattered violently. Immediately after, a massive spatial rift appeared in the air. From within the rift, the succubus queen's voice echoed softly. A gift for you, as a token of my goodwill. I hope you'll like it. A pitch-black monster emerged from the spatial rift, then burrowed into the ground. In the next moment, a massive spike erupted from the ground, striking me directly. The sea bone armor cracked instantly. Another strike, and it would shatter completely. Seeing this, my expression shifted slightly. This monster's attack power was only slightly weaker than the Earth Dragon gods. As I pondered this, a second spike shot up from beneath my feet. The relentless attacks came one after another, with an incredibly high frequency, at least 3 strikes per second. No matter how I dodged, the spikes always found their mark. Thus, I had to replenish my sea bone armor before each attack landed. At the same time, I cast a detection spell on the monster. Level 55 Lord Class Crimson Moon Demon possesses a trait that greatly reduces elemental damage. Most notably, it reduces physical damage by 80%. Although its total attributes are only 270,000, slightly weaker than a Soul Devourer Insect King of the same level. It has only one skill: Infinite Spikes, which cannot be dodged, and must be endured. Fortunately, its 50,000 strength attack power isn't particularly strong. Mo Yun, standing behind me, spoke in a low voice. Lord-class demons are elites among the Abyss demons. They are rare even in the Abyss. They are equivalent to Lord-level bosses. This barrier has already merged with the Crimson Moon Demon. If we don't kill it, we can't escape. Hearing this, a strong killing intent flashed in my eyes. I raised my hand and cast Slow Curse. Instantly, the spikes attacking me slowed down significantly. Red shackles appeared at the tips of the spikes, and soon, the entire barrier was covered with these red shackles. Seeing this, I immediately understood. It wasn't that the Crimson Moon Demon's attacks were fast. It was that there were too many attack points. No matter where I fled, I couldn't avoid its attacks. Moreover, each spike was affected by the curse, meaning each spike was an independent life form. Clearly, the ground itself had become the Crimson Moon Demon's body. I summoned an undead legion. As the Lich General cast his skill, Legion Enhancement, all the skeletons were buffed with various enhancements. Immediately, countless spikes erupted from the ground, piercing the skeletons, but the skeletons were prepared. They activated frenzied strikes simultaneously, their blades glowing red as they slashed at the spikes. Blue mucus sprayed from the spikes, and the skeletons hid by the mucus began to sizzle, their bones corroding rapidly. The Lich General quickly cast Legion Heal, restoring the skeleton's health. After more than 10 waves of attacks, the skeletons were covered in blue mucus. As for the Crimson Moon Demon, it seemed completely unharmed. The number of red shackles hadn't decreased at all. I tried to recall the skeletons, but found I couldn't. Clearly, the blue mucus was the cause. From above, Alice's voice rang out with a sly laugh. We've analyzed your skills. This Crimson Moon Demon was carefully chosen by the Demon King. Just for you. Enjoy the pleasure of being killed. Hearing this, Mo Yun looked at me with a grave expression. What do we do? I reassured her, it's fine. Everything is under control. I had already discovered the Crimson Moon Demon's weakness. After the Undead Legion appeared, its attack power weakened. This change wasn't obvious, but I could feel it clearly. When my Seabone armor took the hits, I summoned my entire Undead Legion. 3,000 skeletons appeared at once. In the next moment, countless spikes attacked them, but the attack power was significantly weaker than before. My guess was correct. As the number of targets increased, the Crimson Moon Demon's attack power weakened. Now, its attacks posed no threat to me. The next step was to find its true body and destroy it. Meanwhile, the Abyss Demons in the air were utterly stunned. What's going on with the Crimson Moon Demon? It's been so long, and it hasn't even taken down a single skeleton. These skeleton stats look so low. I feel like I could crush a bunch of them with one slap. Alice sneered coldly beside them. If you want to die, go ahead and try. She frowned as she looked down at the battlefield. Things had completely deviated from her expectations. She regretted not asking the Demon King to send a stronger demon, but what she didn't know was, sending a level 55 Crimson Moon Demon was already the limit. Still, Alice let out a cold laugh. She knew that, as long as I didn't kill the Crimson Moon Demon, its attacks would be endless. She believed that in the end, I would still die. Thinking this, her expression brightened slightly. Just as she thought, I was indeed in a seemingly endless predicament. I had tried casting Seabone spikes at the ground, and targeting the spikes with soul flames, but neither worked. Suddenly, my eyes lit up. I hadn't tried my new skill yet, Toxic Nova. Immediately, I cast Toxic Nova on a specific area. A green light appeared, then exploded, spreading outward in a green ring. With my talent enhancement, Toxic Nova's range reached 120 meters, dealing 1,200 points of damage per second, for 120 seconds. Wherever the ring passed, the air filled with green poison. If I could fill the entire barrier with poison, the Crimson Moon Demon's true body would have nowhere to hide. I continued casting Toxic Nova in various directions. Soon, the entire barrier was filled with poison. As I expected, the Crimson Moon Demon's true body was marked with a poison debuff. I smirked coldly. I swapped Slow Curse for Damage Curse, and immediately cast Soul Flame on its true body. The ground shook violently as the Crimson Moon Demon took damage. The demons in the air were horrified. They hadn't expected me to find the Crimson Moon Demon's weakness. They tried to flee, but Mo Yun shouted, "Skill, grounding." Instantly, the demons lost their ability to fly and plummeted to the ground. How does a level 40 kid have a grounding skill? Alice also lost her ability to fly. She looked down in terror at the thousands of skeletons waiting below. Falling meant certain death. She quickly pulled out an exquisite talisman and activated it. In the next second, she vanished into thin air. But the other Abyss demons weren't so lucky. The moment they hit the ground, they were overwhelmed by the skeletons' attacks. Every second, demons were being killed, followed by violent corpse explosions. Soon, the area fell into complete silence. In just 1 minute, over 100 level 50+ Abyss demons were wiped out. My military badge glowed brightly. For every level 50+ Abyss demon killed, I earned 2,000 military merits. Mo Yun and I split them evenly, earning a total of 100,000 military merits. Mo Yun was promoted directly from sergeant to colonel. She was utterly shocked. After struggling for over 2 years to reach the rank of sergeant, she had now become a colonel in an instant. At this moment, I was like a god in her eyes. Meanwhile, I smirked coldly. As I looked at the Crimson Moon Demon in the corner, I hurled soul flames and Seabone spikes relentlessly, till it turned into a wisp of black smoke and vanished. Killed level 55 Crimson Moon Demon. Experience gained, 2.75 million. Military merits, 10,000. At that moment, the barrier began to collapse rapidly. As the barrier disappeared, a group of dragon professionals stood there, greedily eyeing me. And Mo Yun, did you think hiding in the barrier would save you? The primal runes on you belong to the dragon race. I had finally fused with the primal runes that countless powerhouses coveted. I had even grasped the mysteries of the runes that even divine level experts couldn't comprehend. I discovered that within the primal space, there was another ancient civilization's ruins. After killing the Crimson Moon Demon and breaking the barrier, a group of dragon professionals had been waiting outside for some time. There were at least 30 to 40 dragon professionals charging at us with murderous intent. Seeing this, I smiled. In my eyes, they were nothing more than free military merits and experience. But just as I was about to act, a loud shout came from the distance. "Protect our human professionals." A team of 12 human professionals charged over from afar. Clearly, they were here to help us. But I didn't need their help. I immediately ordered the skeleton warriors to throw demon corpses at the dragon professionals. Then, I cast damage curse. As the corpses neared them, I activated corpse explosion. 2 high-level demon corpses exploded mid-air, sending the charging dragon professionals falling like raindrops. With the 10x damage boost from damage curse, those caught in the blast were instantly killed. The few surviving dragon professionals froze in place, then turned and fled without hesitation. The human professionals rushing over were also stunned, watching the dragon professionals fall like rain. They swallowed hard, some even rubbing their eyes, thinking they were hallucinating. Am I seeing things? Did those dragon professionals just die like that? Meanwhile, the skeleton warriors were busy collecting equipment from the dragon professionals. My storage space was already filled with various pieces of equipment, mostly from the dragon race, and all of them were platinum grade. Whether they were useful or not, I took them all. Even if I sold them back at Shajing Academy, I'd make a fortune. I glanced up at the sky. The red beam of light on me had faded significantly. Today was the 10th day since I obtained the primal runes. The fusion of the primal runes was nearing its end. Mo Yun still had 3 more days before her fusion was complete. But as long as I'm here, there shouldn't be any major issues. Then, I led her deeper into the ancient battlefield. As my experience points continued to rise, time was running out for me. I had to find the Divine Selection secret realm quickly. Meanwhile, in the dragon world, within a vast palace complex, a powerful aura erupted. The aura dispersed the clouds in the sky, as if tearing a massive hole in the heavens. The figure seated on the palace throne let out a furious roar. Who dares target our dragon race in the ancient battlefield? Investigate immediately, and find out what's happening there. The oppressive aura emanating from the throne forced the dragon soldiers below to their knees in fear. As you command, Great King. Soon, a large number of dragon warriors flew out from the palace complex. They quickly returned with the investigation results. Upon learning the truth, the Dragon King was enraged. He immediately ordered all dragon warriors in the ancient battlefield to unite and kill me. At the same time, he accelerated the search for spatial rifts, vowing to make humanity pay a heavy price for this. At that moment, the dragon world was engulfed in a wave of killing intent. Soon, the Dragon King's orders reached the upper layers of the ancient battlefield. Dragon professionals in the core region also received the Dragon King's command. Meanwhile, Alice contacted the Succubus Queen. She reported the failure to the Succubus Queen. However, the Succubus Queen wasn't surprised. She had already known that a level 55 Crimson Moon Demon couldn't kill me, but summoning a level 55 Crimson Moon Demon was her limit. Thus, she ordered Alice to head to the central region and relay her command. All capable demons must ensure my death. In her eyes now, killing me was more important than obtaining the primal runes.